property itself costs them like $2 million, but once you get it, you're not like the government's not going to take your property away from you.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Well-
if you buy a building and it's like over 4 floors, I think, or maybe if it's 5 floors or more, you have to pay a mansion tax.
No, a mansion tax you pay for any property that's over $1 million.
I think
So every property in New York?
Yeah, basically everything you pay a mansion tax on.
Even a fucking
Is that
one
true?
bedroom?
Yeah.
No.
you can get a studio now, I'm sure, for
Yeah.
a
I
million
mean,
dollars.
as far as like when I
I'm
looked
never
into,
buying property
when
in
I
New
looked
York.
into like real estate laws like 5-6 years ago, that's what it was. 'Cause
Why
the
were you
mansion
looking
tax-
that up 5 years ago?
To maybe get a real estate salesperson license because I didn't have a job, and that's what other
That's
guys-
like a job a lot of comics do.
yeah.
Could you sling houses?
Yeah, I almost worked for Nooklin when I moved
yeah,
here.
yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
There was that guy with Taylor.
Well, you go. No, Jay Fod hooked me up, but he worked with Taylor.
Yeah, yeah. Taylor
Yeah.
was trying to hook me up with the job.
Well, there's a guy apparently in South Brooklyn, a Russian guy who just you pay him like a couple $100 and he says that you passed the exam. It's like you
Hell
don't have
yeah,
to like
baby.
study. Yeah.
I love scams.
yeah, that's the way to do it. I mean, I did that with defensive driving.
Really?
You found a corrupt
No,
guy.
but yeah, my friend just like forged all the.
That rules. I had to take an actual class, dude.
No, I mean to teach. I used to teach defensive driving.
No, I took a real.
Yeah, no. When I needed to take it, my friend who taught it wouldn't sign my paper.
Gotcha.
That was gay.
That is gay.
Different guys though.
Oh, the second guy seems like a bitch.
The first guy was a bitch. Well,
Oh.
may he rest in peace. But the second guy was, yeah, he was
Okay.
chill. Yeah,
He was a chill bloke.
yeah.
How's that croissant, Adam?
Pretty good, dude. I'm trying to do what Nick said by eating a lot of sweets.
Yeah, a lot
To
of
put-
fats and carbs.
Put weight back on.
Yeah, he's trying to become a fat-titted biatch.
That would be cool.
I would
It would be
love-
awesome if you got fat.
Be your own biatch.
You know what
I'm
I've been
saying?
doing that I think
I would love
you
to go
like?
to plus size stores
What's
with
that?
you.
You should try this. Is you get like string cheese, the mozzarella string cheese, and you dip them in honey.
I
And
think
then
I'm lactose intolerant.
try this method.
I think I am. but
Yeah.
I'm self-diagnosed.
You probably isn't
I
every
think
Jewish
I-
person lactose
It'll never
intolerant?
Every
never
Jewish
air.
person has
but
a
that's-
terrible stomach.
It'll never air. But that was one of the funny scenes in Tim's pilot where he's like interviewing some guy, and the guy's like, he's like, "Are you lactose intolerant?" Like also, or he's like, they start talking about lactose intolerant. He's at some like diner with a guy. And the guy, he's like, I'm lactose intolerant. I can't have cheese. And Tim's like, oh yeah, me too. He's like, why do you like eat that stuff? He's like, you just keep fighting.
What do you say?
You just keep fighting.
Respect. Tim's lactose intolerant.
I don't know. The joke was that treating lactose intolerance like it's cancer and continuing to eat ice cream. And
Right.
It made me laugh. I butchered the delivery, but I'm not Tim. I'm my
Yeah.
own
You were
beast.
speaking. You were speaking softly.
I'm my own animal.
That's right. You are your own animal. One of those goats that the children fuck.
I hate that
in
video
India.
of those goats prancing.
Yeah,
Well,
what
it's
is that?
like
That's a meme now?
Me on my way to post some gay tweet. me doing. Oh,
That is you.
when I do
That goat is you.
When you find out that they got extra fucking Polynesian sauce at Chick-fil-A. Shut up, you fucking loser. Fuck
get
those
the
goats.
ass. Get those goats, man.
Fuck those
them.
goats. Stop doing format tweets unless they're parody songs. That's okay.
Unless what?
They're parody songs.
Yeah, then it's good and funny.
hmm
I heard a parody song that I think was in our
I-
ouvre or
I was-
whatever that
or
word.
oeuvre?
I was laughing
Oeuvre,
about.
but
you know,
it's a gay sex sicko mode
Oh yeah.
called Dicko mode. I hadn't heard that before, but it's
There's a guy that
It's
does
well
gay
done.
raps that are very
it's well
good.
done.
I
yeah.
was thinking.
Como?
I was thinking about Vertigo by U2 or whatever.
Mhm.
Who knows those trace? But imagining it's like the week before Bono writes that song, he's at a bar and some guy's like, "Yeah, it's like Spanish people. They have their own language." So he's like, "Really? What? Like, how does that work?" Like, well, they have different words for everything. He's like, What do you mean? There's like a different language? You just
Bono how old is
doesn't-
Bono? 50
Yeah,
whatever.
he doesn't understand that like there's other languages. And so he's like, Larry, have you heard about this? They've got
Different words, spicier words.
It's called Spanish, and it's the same thing.
Bono
Okay.
tried to have us shut down, dude.
Yeah,
but we wouldn't have it.
I gotta replace this fucking.
U2 was like a giant band. That's crazy to me. Their shit sucks.
Yeah.
Like people that were born in like, or I don't know, people that were like teenagers in like '91.
Mm-hmm.
They love that shit.
Gen Xers.
That shit sucks my dick. What's a good U2 song?
Where the streets have no name.
Yeah.
How does that one go?
streets suck your dick.
I've never heard that.
The Joshua
And
Tree
fuck
album's
me
pretty
in
good.
my ass.
Nope.
Fuck
Sucks.
me in my ass. Where the
no.
streets are so gay.
I've heard Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Yeah, that's from. I don't think that's from Joshua Tree.
That sucks.
You don't like that song?
Song sucks
And
dick.
now we're getting fucked in our
Why?
eyes.
Because it's about revolution.
No, I like the themes, but the music sucks me off.
Okay.
Suck my little penis.
Suck my little penis.
Yeah, fuck you two. I don't know how the fuck they got famous. They don't have any bangers, dude.
I
They're-
wish my dick wasn't small.
Wait,
I
is that
wish-
them?
No, that's Hall & Oates.
Yeah, that song. Hall & Oates is good.
I wish my dick wasn't small. I said I wish.
Because my dick is small. That shit.
Because my dick is small. I wish it was big.
See? Now that's something you can vibe to, dude.
Yeah.
That's a
I
melody.
said I wish my dick wasn't small. I said I wish my dick wasn't small. I said I wish my dick wasn't small. I wish it was big.
He's a man eater. You can just keep that one.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Pro-
Oh, here she comes.
Sucking guys.
Suck my dick because I'm gay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking gay. I'm a gay man. One of my friends says one of his friends' dads was a roadie for Hall & Oates.
A chody.
A chody.
Mhm.
Yes. And Hall & Oates wanted to have sex with him. That apparently they were gay.
What?
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
Damn, stop. You heard that?
What?
You heard that, dude?
You're gay?
Wait, is this common knowledge?
I've been listening to gay music.
Dude, I got so pissed off when I found Old Town Road is about being a gay guy.
Gay
Mhm.
man sucking
Dude, I
off your
freaking
horse.
got so mad.
Well, I'm gonna fuck my horse in its ass tonight. I'm
Mm.
gonna drink all its horse cum.
And what I'm gonna drink that. Dude, you know who loves that song? White third graders.
Yes, dude,
Yeah.
that video is incredible.
Well, no, it's not a video. I was walking around Cobble Hill and there's some like rich baby.
Every
that's
kid likes
Oh,
that song.
Town Road, baby.
you know,
Yeah, every kid loves it.
Have you seen the video of Lil Nas X performing at literally an elementary
not
Yeah,
school?
my
yeah, and those
son.
kids are losing it.
my
It's
son will
cool.
not enjoy anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
My son's gonna be kept away from the internet and he's gonna learn chores.
Have you seen that video of there's like a bunch of kids at one of those trampoline places where everything's a
Mm-hmm.
trampoline
Yeah.
and they're listening to Mo Bamba and they're just going
They
absolutely
are going
nuts.
wild.
Yeah, I love it.
Did he rape?
They're like doing flips and stuff.
He's
Sheck
disappeared.
West.
Sheck's gone.
Did he
Seems like he
did
got
he do
he's a
bad?
rapist.
Maybe when I don't know.
Yeah. So there you go, trying to promote a rapist agenda.
I wasn't trying to promote it. I just
That's
Yeah.
pretty fucked up,
That's a
Adam.
typical Adam move.
Mm-hmm.
Defending Quentin Tarantino's basement.
I didn't defend
Saying
anything.
Sheck
I just
West
didn't
should
know if
be
it
able
was
to
a
rape
Jewish
third
basement.
graders in a trampoline store.
Why
He
does
didn't rape
Jeffrey
the
Epstein
kids.
have a creepy temple on his island? Well, it certainly has nothing to do with him being Jewish. That's the first thing we'd like to say in this article.
Let's get one thing clear. Didn't who's that guy? The other guy that's sort of
You know what I'm getting into?
Dershowitz?
This QAnon stuff.
Oh, cool, Nick.
Ruh-roh.
It's really entertaining.
It's
Don't
funny.
they think some
The guy that
random-
they think
Well, it's not
John
funny.
F. Kennedy Jr. is like now, like
just
there's
some ugly ass
some ugly guy. Like John F. Kennedy Jr. was a fucking
What do you have,
snack,
plas-
dude.
Plastic
Yeah.
surgery or whatever.
Yeah, he got plastic surgery to be ugly.
Is he the same height and shit as JFK?
I don't
Jr.?
know.
We gotta look that up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's also like, who the fuck is thinking of JFK Jr.?
I mean, he's a Kennedy.
But what the? He didn't do shit, did he? Wasn't he
Yeah,
just a
dude.
rich guy that got
He
hit on
died
a
in
plane?
a plane.
No, he started George Magazine.
Yeah, George Magazine
George
stuff.
Mag- what
That
the
was his
fuck is-
magazine he read.
It was called George.
Yeah.
you know?
You don't know George?
Famous George Magazine.
Damn, I
Yeah,
stand
that was, like,
corrected.
that was the thing. It's like sometimes I would like just get wind of something that was happening as a kid because it would be like on Entertainment Tonight or something, and I would think it was a much bigger deal culturally.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I remember when George Magazine came out, and I was like, George Magazine's coming out. I'm like, I don't even know what it is. I'm like, that's supposed to be a
I
pretty
love
big deal.
7-year-old you being like,
I'm like, am I
"Yeah."
supposed to know about George Magazine? Is everyone going to be talking about George Magazine?
Who is George?
It was JFK Jr.
He just named it
Who's
George.
the titular George?
The first issue had Cindy Crawford dressed as George Washington on the cover.
That's hot.
Really?
Yeah, so it was
That's the
like
kind
a,
of bitch I'm
a
into.
gender bending
Ooh.
sort of, because in the 90s
Was it just
that,
hot bitches dressed like Georges?
that was not the theme of the magazine.
they have
It was
fucking
like kind of an
Tyra
Esquire.
Banks
Yeah.
dressed
it was like,
as
it was
George
like a
Costanza?
men's
Yeah.
magazine, but not like FHM or Maxim. It was like a
Did they show
like
pussy?
Esquire or GQ kind of vibe.
It was called George. He thought something called George was going to be cool.
I don't know. That's a good name.
Is it still around?
Your friend's named George.
It's a good name. But it's not a good name for a magazine.
Whoa, what's a good name for a magazine?
Stavros.
GQ.
Stavros
GQ?
magazine.
Stavros Magazine is a good name for it.
Thank you.
Sylvester Stallone had Sly Magazine for a while.
That's
'Cause I
pretty
remember
good.
when I
That
was
sounds like a
15
gay porn
When I was
magazine.
15, I worked at a grocery store, and I remember having to fix the magazine rack here
Mhm.
and there, and I would just look at the magazines and pretend I was working, and I would thumb through Import Tuner and be like, oh yeah, I'm fixing stuff.
Import tuner?
Yeah,
What's that?
it's just like a
Cars?
Yeah, Japanese cars, and it's like, well, make it go real fast.
Nice.
Make the car go real fast. and Sly magazine had just come out, and it was like Sylvester Stallone's magazine, or maybe it hadn't just come out, but I remember thumbing through that, and it's like some article in there by him, and it's just him in his arms crossed. He's like, I don't believe in addiction, because it's like, why don't you get addicted to something positive like working out? It's like, but what?
Yes.
It sounds like instead of not believing in it, you fundamentally misunderstand the
what it
concept.
is.
Yeah. I don't understand racism. It's like, why don't you just be racisted to by something good instead of
Why don't you
of
be
the
racist
police
towards cancer?
instead of the police killing you? Why don't the police do racism by giving you money? Sly magazine.
Sly magazine. Here's a picture of my cock.
Yeah.
Here's me oiled up, and you can see my
Here's-
cock print.
Yeah. Here's my whole penis.
He did have a very long dick, if that's really him in that pornography.
I
That
thought it was
watched.
soft core.
You can see his cock.
You
though.
see his cock?
You see his cock, but not while he's fucking.
You see it soft or
You
hard?
see it, I think, semi.
Oh.
I don't remember. Or maybe I saw a still image.
I
of
know
his
he was living
penis.
at the Port Authority when he did that.
That's right.
But at
And
the
he saw
bus
an
stop.
ad in the fucking Port Authority.
And the what?
The bus station in like Times Square.
I don't have an accent. The last night of Wahlburgers
Pull up
ever.
Sly's
It's
pornography.
been an awesome journey. Wahlburgers series finale tonight at 9 on A&E. That us three brothers would open a restaurant together. It's mind-boggling.
What are you playing?
Tonight. My brother Mark.
I love your accent.
I don't have an accent. The last night of Wahlburgers ever. It's been an awesome
What
journey.
is this video?
Wahlburgers series finale tonight at 9 on A&E.
For those of you at home,
That
we
us three
can't. Me and
brothers
Adam
would open a
cannot hear it,
restaurant
and Nick is
together.
looking at it by himself.
Tonight. My brother Mark.
I love your accent.
I don't have an accent. The last night of Wahlburgers ever. It's
Oh,
been an
hell
awesome
yeah,
journey.
dude.
Wahlburgers series finale tonight at 9 on A&E. That us three brothers would open a restaurant together.
Nice.
It's mind-boggling. Tonight. My brother
I
Mark.
think
I
it's
love your
looping now,
accent.
bud.
I don't have an accent. The last night of Wahlburgers ever.
You want to do this
It's
for the
been
last
an
12
awesome
minutes?
journey. Wahlburgers series finale tonight at 9 on A&E. That us three brothers would open a restaurant together. It's mind-boggling. Tonight. My brother Mark.
I love your accent.
I don't have an accent. The last night of Wahlburgers ever. It's been an awesome journey. Wahlburgers series finale tonight at 9 on A&E. That us three brothers would open a restaurant together. It's mind-boggling. Tonight. My brother Mark.
I love your accent.
I don't have an accent. The last night of Wahlburgers ever. It's been an awesome journey. Wahlburgers series finale tonight at 9 on A&E. That us three brothers would open a restaurant together. It's mind-boggling. Tonight. My brother Mark.
I love your accent.
I don't have an accent. The last night of Wahlburgers ever. It's been an awesome journey. Wahlburgers series
awesome
finale
journey.
tonight at 9 on A&E.
Hell
That
yeah.
us three brothers would open a
have an accent.
I don't have an accent.
It's been an awesome journey.
To being the editor that had to like cut that together or whatever.
It's an
It's
honor.
like
and a
good
privilege.
enough. And Mark's like, yeah, let's get more shots of
We
me
see
with
my
the giant
tries.
scissors.
Yeah.
I love those
Damn.
giant scissors.
I'm jealous, dude. I want to have my own burger chain.
Yeah.
I love a damn burger.
Big burger, fat burger.
The burgers at the stand are good, dude.
Yeah.
I had it the other night. It was
I
awesome.
know, I had your
I got,
scraps.
some,
My
I got
compliments.
some frozen sirloin patties at Costco that are not particularly good.
that are not good.
No.
Frozen is
Frozen
hard.
ground beef is not good.
And I tried to I've been just broiling the cast iron, throwing them on there in the oven,
to give it a little bit
cooking
of
them
a,
in the oven.
I don't know about that, man.
Well, because they're frozen, so you want them.
Oh, because that way I gotcha.
They-
yes, the inside would stay nice and rare.
Yeah, you can't just use them. You get the cast iron real hot in the broiler, and then throw the meat in there. It grills it on the bottom while cooking the top from the broiler.
Does it get overcooked?
No. Well, yeah. I'm still figuring it out,
Gotcha. All right, well, keep us posted, man. Fuck.
but it's not very good.
I would like a fucking. Let's have a barbecue.
I got that little grill.
You got that
I
little
got
Weber?
a tent. We should go
We need a
upstate.
big backyard, dude.
Yeah.
Actually,
We
if
should go upstate.
outside,
Take
that would be
3
cool.
separate cars now that we have it.
Yeah. A cabin. I'm not trying to camp though. I want to sleep indoors.
We can get a nice little Airbnb, just the boys.
Yeah, no chicks.
No chicks.
No chicks allowed.
No
Yeah.
pants, no chicks.
Just us guys.
Meanwhile, if we had tried to plan that when you had a girlfriend, of course you would have brought your girlfriend and be like, "Oh, well, it wasn't up to me."
Well,
not for
now,
no chick. Not if
now-
we said no chicks.
not if you say no chicks.
You would have not stuck to the boys.
There might have
only.
been
Well,
one.
I would
There
still.
would have been a random 6-hour window.
I
where
know
you
we're
would have
saying
gone
no
to get
chicks,
lunch.
but I would bring my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
No?
Is she dead yet?
I don't know.
That was I was mostly asking the fan.
no.
Shut up,
don't
Nick.
have no
Shut up, Nick. Shut up.
I'm trying to help.
No, dude.
That was a rhetorical question.
Yeah,
For
are you
the
guys familiar
for
with
the
the
fan-
Socratic method?
for the
No.
fan base.
No.
For the fans of the
The
show.
suck-
Just get a little
Socratic.
timestamp on that one.
Okay, it is 12:51.
I'm just kidding. Please don't kill anyone.
All right, a little timestampy.
Timestamp is 12:44.
Okay.
That's fine. We don't need to take that out. It's obviously a fucking joke.
12:44. Adam, remember that time.
12:44.
We can leave this in, and they'll wonder forever.
Yeah,
No, they won't.
they'll
Yes, they
know
will.
exactly what we're talking about.
They'll wonder.
Anyway, so what's in the news? You got this Cory Booker fella,
Yep.
gay.
He is gay. Is he really fucking Rosario Dawson? No, right?
No, he got a beard. He had to ask Eric Andre if he could borrow his girlfriend. Yeah,
Oh, you think it's a loan
he's
out
leasing
program?
it from Eric Andre.
How about Eric? I'm gay.
Lease? Ooh, Eric,
Eric?
I'm
I'm gay. That's funny.
Yeah.
That is good. And he's like, legalize being gay.
Should I go to Hershey Park?
Why?
In
I got a
PA?
coupon for the Dunkin' Donuts.
For the Dunkin' Donuts at Hershey Park?
Yeah.
You guys want to go to Six Flags Hurricane Harbor? I love water
I'm not
parks.
a Six Flags. I'm not an amusement park guy, man.
You don't like water parks?
Are people just done with this Tommy Romola guy already?
Who's that?
Who,
That Dago that like somebody popularized on Twitter.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
that
that guy's
guy-
annoying.
Yeah.
That guy rocks. Old school Tommy, dude. OS for life.
Yeah,
dude.
it's funny one time.
Yeah.
Take it
easy. Come on, that's good. You laughed.
That's
See?
funny.
See?
And it is another Friday. And this is how I get down. Little
I got pissed
freestyle.
off.
Cadillac.
Freestyle is good music.
And
I was
we're
not
all-
aware of that genre until
I got pissed off
Old
because
School
the guy
Tommy.
who was posting it on Twitter wasn't crediting him at all.
Oh yeah, I saw that. They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is my new favorite account. Look at this guy that I found. And I'm gonna find a way. I'm downloading."
And he was
all
getting
of the
like
videos.
50,000 retweets.
Yeah.
And he just was basically reposting Big Time
That's so
Tommy's shit.
shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's
it's
that? Who
awful.
is that?
Yeah. People were like, "Just post the account. Stop."
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're a fucking
just send a
whoever
fucking
that is,
link
you're
to
a
this guy's
loser.
account.
That guy's a fucking loser.
Yeah, that guy's
Suck
a
our
loser.
dick.
Imagine if we had Gene DiNapoli on. We're like, bleep his name. Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone who it is.
Only we're allowed to know who it is.
It's our content.
Yeah. This is our. This guy belongs to us.
Yeah. At least we literally had him on a. We shouldn't do that, but at least we went out and found him. This motherfucker just saw the guy's content and was like, "No, this is mine.
Yeah, this is mine now.
This is mine because I'm a fucking loser."
I'm a fucking loser named.
Whoever that guy is, suck these.
I'm gonna
nuts.
start stealing his content and being like, I found the gayest man on There's these pictures from
Let's
his
all laugh
Facebook.
at this guy.
Hey everybody, it's that boy who laughs at people. Let's all laugh at him.
Ah, fuck.
Yeah.
What genre? What is freestyle? I didn't know about this.
It's
dude.
like Jordan Peterson and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's like Jordan Peterson videos, I'm pretty sure.
No, dude, that shit was going off.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like 80s hip hop.
It's
no?
good, dude. That's what I
Pretty cool.
mean. It's like hip hop beats. Sounds like whatever Paula
Mm-hmm.
Abdul stole.
You know, Stav and I love hip hop beats.
I love a nice lo-fi mellow beat to study to.
What is it?
That
It
bitch
sounds
that
like
studies with the cat.
is freestyle like that.
I'd
Fucking
like to have sex with her.
It's like in the same sort of category as like New Jack Swing.
I think probably
Perhaps kind of
adjacent.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe an offshoot. I'm
'Cause
only.
I was not freestyling was just freestyle rap.
That's what I thought.
But-
A cipher.
But he
apparently
never raps.
There's a genre of music.
called freestyle.
Whenever this man was a child, so
Yeah.
50 years ago
on Long Island.
on Long Island.
Hey, it's Big Gay Tony here, listening to the sweet sounds of Bono. We're listening to Bono play his classic hit, Italian Vertigo. Uni, due, tre sedici,
Italiane. Quattro.
trigliani. 14 giorni andiaggio, Googlia bublia.
Fuck Italians. Fuck Italians. I love chants, man.
Yeah.
Nothing like a good chant.
Uh-huh.
What's one of your favorite chants, Adam?
One of my favorite chants.
I can't breathe. Hands up, don't shoot.
What? Hands up, don't shoot. I love.
Yeah.
I just say that in my apartment sometimes.
You know, I didn't even
It's me and
know.
the
I thought
dog.
"Hands Up, Don't Shoot" was just a chant. I didn't.
Mhm.
I didn't really pay attention to that Ferguson thing.
Right.
So then there's like I would see like conservatives be like, they said "Hands Up, Don't Shoot," which turned out to be a lie, by the way. Which
What?
I'm like the chant turned out to be a lie. Like I didn't even know.
They were trying to own them for the chant.
Well, I guess it has to do with the testimony from.
The bitch ass the bitch ass recorder, man.
Sorry,
Yeah,
we've been
this
having
thing needs to
technical
be
difficulties.
Replaced.
We might upgrade.
Get an H6
Yeah, maybe.
that has 4 dedicated ports.
We should get a full studio, dude. Like Stern.
Yeah.
We need a Sibian.
Mm-hmm.
We need.
I would sit on that every damn episode.
You should, dude. You should bring your own.
BYOS, dude. Bring your own Sibian.
Yeah.
God, I loved jacking off to the E version of Howard Stern.
I would love it too. Just blurred ass titties.
Blurred
Yeah,
titties,
I-
blurred pussy.
I thought that was like a right wing talking point. Is that the chant itself was fake?
Yep. No one's ever chanted that. Didn't cops
Oh,
just kill a
about Mike
guy,
Brown.
though? In Dallas, they killed a white guy who was, like, mentally ill. He called for help, and they mocked him. They're like, oh, he's sleeping, and they literally killed him.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that.
yeah.
I do know that the statute of limitations just passed for the guy that killed Eric Garner. The
No,
cop is
It's not the statute of limitations. They just like.
there's 5 years I think that to
For murder?
to open like an investigation or whatever.
No, they just decided not to pursue anything. Or like he fucking. They had a trial. It's not. I don't think it was a statute of
I don't
limitations.
think they had a trial.
Or they
De
had some
Blasio.
kind of like internal.
Or maybe it was
review.
like-
It's not the statute of limitations for fucking murdering somebody passed.
Maybe for cops, though. You never know. Cops get all
I don't
kinds
know
of
what it
bullshit.
is. Whatever. There's some because of the there was like the 5-year anniversary was the last day they could fire him or something, and then they didn't.
Oh,
do
for
it.
that
Yeah,
specific incident.
yeah.
Well, he's probably a model police officer.
He's probably a great
Didn't
guy.
aren't they making it illegal, like, throw water on cops or some shit?
To make them wet.
Yeah, literally. They were like, some guy got water and water dumped on him. And
I think it does count as like either assault or battery.
if you throw a
Uh-huh.
drink in someone's face in general,
Yeah.
So every bitchy.
It's like assault is also varies state by state too, where like assault in some states requires like some kind of physical contact.
Sometimes it could be the fear of
yeah,
physical
you can if you get in
contact.
somebody's face and say I'm gonna fuck you up. In some
That's
states,
assault.
that's assault. And
Oh,
that's why you have
shit.
assault and battery. And then in some states, like assault is like physical contact, and they don't differentiate between assault and like battery. And then sometimes there's like aggravated assault. I don't know.
Damn.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. We've got to learn these fucking laws and then go out and fuck people up.
Mm-hmm.
You've never been in a fight, have you, Adam?
Yeah, I have.
Who?
No, he's gonna tell that story again about pushing someone out of the way. There was a drunk Hispanic man that was like, "Do you have any money?" And he pushed him. And he's like, "Get out of here!" And he
I said
put-
no.
and
No.
Not my money, pal.
No, I mean, as a kid, I was in a lot of fights.
Yeah, you were rough.
I
and
was
tumble?
actually like in elementary school, big for my grade. And then
Oh,
in middle
so
school,
you
everyone
weren't-
got puberty,
and then you became a coward.
and then I became
Once you
I became a real coward. I've never been in a real adult fight. No.
Well, we got to change that, dude. This is part of your renaissance. This is part of you getting your groove back. We're gonna get you to start fucking people up.
I'm gonna start going to mixed martial arts gym.
Jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do jiu-jitsu.
Someone told me that that family, the Gracies, like the
Yes.
Brazilian family,
Yeah.
have their own gym in New York.
They also have a production company,
Is it
Really?
the same family?
Gracie Films. Yeah,
No, it's not.
they're like, "Yeah, we're going to do a show that's like it's a yellow family and a satire.
Yeah.
It's called The Simpsons."
Yeah, The Simpsons.
I would think a really funny show would be the show The Critic. If that dude was a guy who removes
Oh yeah.
he removes TV shows and movies. No, I'm not retarded. I'm from Brazil. Brazil.
I'm from Rio de Janeiro.
Dude, you want to be trained by Henzo Gracie.
They
himself?
sound like they're deaf, dude.
Yep. That is true. It's fucked up.
Brazilian, Portuguese.
All the Portuguese.
Sound.
I feel like all the Portuguese sound like that.
I don't know how regular Portuguese sounds actually. Cristiano Ronaldo.
He got off on a rape charge too.
Yeah, so did Neymar recently. Beat the case.
Neymar skated as well, huh?
Beat the case. He released all the texts between him and the girl, which I'm pretty sure was against the law.
Of course.
Yeah, he was like releasing her nudes and stuff.
Jesus Christ.
It's pretty fucked
And he
up.
fucks his sister, doesn't he?
He has a tattoo of his sister, and it's pretty much assumed that they're fucking.
Neymar fucks his sister.
Yeah.
Brazil, man.
He's got a
Wild
really
place.
prominent
Wait, it's fucked
tattoo
up
of
to
her.
release text messages to exonerate yourself?
I
Of-
think it
of
was like
nudes and
it
shit?
depends on like where it happened. I think it happened in Brazil actually, but
But it no.
probably Bolsonaro got him off. or
It's
something.
not fucked up. You're saying it may be illegal, but you think it's fucked up if somebody accuses you of something to release all the text messages between you and them?
If it has like nudes of them and stuff, like I would let like
So if
the-
somebody falsely accuses you of something and you know it's fake and you have evidence to exonerate yourself and you're being like,
I would provide that to investigators probably.
you
Yeah.
wouldn't do it publicly where the accusation happened.
I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but I think it was kind of weird for him to release like her tits and stuff on Instagram.
Yep, that's pretty fucked up.
No,
I thought-
No, I think if you falsely accuse somebody of something and
Also,
they,
we don't
and
know
they-
if it was
and
false.
I mean, I'm pretty.
We don't know
man.
how-
A
wait,
fucking
wait, no, I don't know the
a
details of
millionaire
the
Brazilian
I
soccer
don't know
player.
the details
How-
of the story, but
Probably
like,
rapes.
if you said that he got off and he exonerated himself with this evidence, it's like with the what was fucked up is accusing somebody of something in the first place if you know it to be false.
Right.
That's
sure.
that's where it entered the territory of things being fucked up. So that's where it's like if you want to fucking dig a grave, you might as well dig two. So you already brought it into the whatever. I mean, I don't know this.
Okay, first of all,
it's just I
debate club.
the question was
it's not a debate club. It's just
no, no.
like, I
The
think it's
question
fucking
was, did he
stupid
rape her or not? I think if you like release text messages of her like flirting with him before they hooked up,
I have no
How does that-
idea what this fucking
Okay,
story
so that's
is.
what I'm saying.
You said it exonerated him, or
I didn't say it
no, he just said
exonerated
he
him.
released
I
text
said he
between
released
them.
them,
Oh,
and people were saying that was potentially against the law. And it was also kind of weird because
I
she
thought
was
you said
sending.
it let him off the hook.
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ronaldo got off because they said there wasn't enough evidence.
yeah. Also, he's potentially gay too.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he's not a rapist.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing: if you're going around, if you like accuse me publicly and said I stole your fucking, like, so he robbed my house, he came into my house and he stole shit from my house, and then I had a text message from you that's like you sending me your tits, and it says, "I'm so glad you didn't rob my house."
But it's written on your tits in magic
It's
marker.
on the
Yeah, it's
tits?
on, not even on the tits. That just happens to be the next. I'm not editing your shit.
I would
out.
just
Fuck
put
you.
it. I would put an emoji
No,
over the
dude, that is
nipples.
still fucked up.
No, I don't give a shit. You want to accuse
Okay.
me of shit? Then fuck it. It's like, yeah.
No, then you're stooping to their level.
I am ready to stoop.
See, that's the thing. You love to
Nick
stoop.
loves to stoop.
You're a guy who has some weird code, but the second you're let off the leash, you're so happy.
That's actually not true.
yes,
then
it
it becomes
is.
a freak.
No, I often do not stoop. In reality,
Oh, your character.
He
though.
loves the higher road.
You like.
No,
to,
you
You
stoop.
like to fantasize about stooping.
what have I stooped about? Of course, everybody likes to fantasize about stooping.
Not me, dude. I
No, you don't
fantasize about
stoop.
being a good guy, and I'm a piece of shit.
Oh, I
No,
just
there's-
tell people I'm a
There's
good guy.
plenty.
Yeah,
There's,
yeah.
there's plenty.
I'm a great guy.
Plenty of people who have like fucked with me in a way where it's like, I would like to reciprocate, but
Yeah.
I don't, because it would be fucking petty.
Yeah. So there you go, dude. I just fucking got you debate. I just got you to admit my point
No, you didn't.
or Adam's point.
You said your
The
point.
master wins again.
No, your
That was
point
a
was
good
that
debate,
The
guys.
master wins
Great
again.
debate.
the
Thank
master
you.
doesn't know.
That's the show, everyone.
what point were you making?
Look, dude, just you've been had by the debate master.
What have I been had about?
If I have to explain it to you, man, then you're really behind, pal.
Yeah.
So everyone witnessed it. I got Nick to admit the thing that Adam was saying or something.
I'm not. I haven't really
Or
even
whatever.
followed this.
Adam said it's okay for a person to have sex with children if it's part of their religion.
Well, I said if you don't release the text between you and the child.
Well, once you build a
He said-
temple, it's part of your religion.
He said Jewish. The real debate club, by the way.
Fuck. Damn.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
So what else, guys? Oh, folks, I'll be on the 29th at the Lodge Room in Los Angeles.
Go see the boy.
Go see me. Also, we got Funny Moms every Monday of the month except for the first Monday.
And I got Fat Tuesdays every Tuesday at the freaking stand.
The next Funny Moms is August 12th, and then the 19th and the 26th.
Ooh, I love it. And I will be in Boston on the 16th and 17th, Oakland on the 24th, Seattle the 29th, Portland on the 30th. Come out and see me. Come out and suck me.
If you see something,
And buy Nick's
suck
T-shirts or whatever.
Oh right.
Come
something.
Dot
Come.town. Buy Nick's
The web,
T-shirts.
that is the website. You
More
type
heat on the way.
you go
Watch
open
the
up
space.
Internet Explorer, in your Netscape browser, you type in come.town. It's an e-commerce solution.
An e-commerce solution.
Yeah. No, they gave me a free chip reader or card reader, so I can sell shirts at the stand now.
Nice.
Or
You're going to sell
wherever.
shirts after your
At
spots?
Funny Moms.
I have Funny Moms.
Funny Moms.
Not the stand. The stand wants me to do a pop-up there.
So do it.
Pop-up shop.
Yeah.
Pop-up shop or a show?
No, like sell shirts at the stand.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
That would be cool, actually.
It would be fun.
So
I'm
you
just
heard-
thinking about it. There's like 900 shirts coming on Monday,
Uh-oh.
and it's gonna be like a nightmare having to fold all those shirts and put them in bags.
Yes.
I'm feeling
But
that.
guess
like,
what? You're gonna love
I got
it.
like 300.
I'm feeling like you're
shirts.
gonna love it.
I got like 300 shirts the last time, and it took like 3 days.
Yeah, but you're going to be able to be like, I'm folding shirts whenever someone says anything to you. It'll be
Yeah.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get to zone out and not listen to any other people.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be cool.
That would be nice.
So that's it. Watch out for that pop-up shop. Nick's going to do a Soho, come.town.
Yeah,
You
Nick
should
will
do a
be at-
high-end fashion pop-up.
Mm-hmm.
Nick will be at Kith on Lafayette.
What's that?
It's
It's
like
a
a
Hypebeast store.
No. Well, I guess that's the show.
Goodbye.
It's just the way I'm feeling.
There you go, Feeder, just the way I'm feeling, XFM 104.9, I'm Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant, Carl Pilkington.
We've got a great show lined up this week, haven't we?
Go on, what have you got planned?
Well, I've got songs from David Bowie, Thin Lizzy, Gene, AC/DC, you heard Feeder there, you got, Smiths, all that. We got a great feature, a new feature. Spoke to Carl in the week, and we worked out a new feature where people are going to give him sort of like problems to solve. That could be scenarios, there could be management scenarios at work, you know, problem solving, things like that, organising things. He's a very good organiser. So I'll tell you what happened. He's dropping Do We Need Him because he's getting fed up with scientists. He thinks there's a conspiracy and they're getting together and they're never going to lose an animal.
Right.
So he's just fed up with that. Rockbusters, we've got some great prizes.
Well, have you seen them yet?
No.
Be careful.
They're not going to be great,
I
are
just
they?
peeked in, and all I'm going to say to you is Fools and Horses Christmas special?
Not the little one with the little car.
With the little
one.
car, yeah.
Brilliant. That is excellent. Carl, what have you got to say for yourself? Hold on, it was a rollover, wasn't it? Because you really mucked up Rockbusters last time. What was he doing? It's saying FP for the whole thing. No, FD you were saying, and it was Frida Payne.
Have you written the clues down this week? Because that seems like an obvious way to improve this.
Yeah, I'll write the clues
The week
down.
before he couldn't remember what the answer was.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, you learn by your mistakes and that.
You don't.
Well. So
So
yeah.
I'll give you a little taster. But we were having a pizza in a pizza establishment. When was it? Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah.
And he was going, I'm a good organiser, I'm a good problem solver. Give me any scenario, right? Obviously he didn't say scenario. And I went, okay then, so you're the manager of this place, and there's a couple there, elderly couple, they're about 60. They've had a lovely meal. He went, yeah, right. I went, but the gentleman, he's got a little bit of a heart condition. He takes a pill after his meal, as he should, after meals. He's only taken Viagra.
Oh.
And now he's stuck in.
Wedged in?
Wedged in.
We've all been there.
It's gone, and it's stopping him getting out from the table.
Yeah.
So what would you do? He went, what? He's stuck in because of his dick? I went, yeah. He went, right. He said, I'd use the situation, I'd make cash. I said, you're not going anywhere, do you want a pudding?
Entrepreneurial. I like it, Carl.
And he went, so that's that sorted, I've got the job on that. Next, I went, okay. Another, you won't believe it. Next day, there's a little problem in the toilets. Two gay men were having sex and they got stuck in each other. Yeah, yeah. He went, right. I'd say, is it the same fella as yesterday with the Viagra? If so, why was he letting the guys do it? He goes, right.
Does his wife know he's cheating on him?
Yeah. He went, right, I'd go down, I'd go, and then he went, I'd say this isn't a restaurant problem, call an ambulance. Strictly speaking, not a restaurant problem, no.
But am I right?
Huh?
Am I right?
Well, I don't know.
Would you give me the job if say, like, you were the boss of that restaurant and you...
Do you know what I like about this? At no point did he say, Gervais, why are you being so mental?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would someone get stuck because they took Viagra by mistake and two people would get stuck in each
But
other?
you've heard the stories from his past. That is a perfectly legitimate situation to find yourself in if you grew up in his part of
What would you
Manchester.
do if there was two fellas with big heads and webbed feet and they had a horse in a... Well, what I'd do is... What would you do? What did you do when you first saw them?
What, saw the
kids-
lads with the big heads and
Yeah, yeah.
that?
We should very quickly remind people, if they didn't listen to that particular show, they had webbed hands.
Yeah.
Did they, or webbed feet?
Well, they had webbed hands
Right.
and big
And
heads.
enormous heads.
But it wasn't related.
But they weren't related
I know,
to each
they were
other.
completely
No,
separate
but I'm
people.
saying that the webbed hands isn't due to the fact they've got a big head.
No, sure.
It's two different things. We're just unlucky.
Yeah.
No, hold on. If they weren't related and they both had webbed hands and big heads, I'm saying there was a condition that was related that had those two.
I don't think it was.
So what do you think the chances of that are? They're not related, and he goes, "Oh, you got a big head and webbed hands as well." Yeah, just a coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah. I honestly don't think it was related.
Right.
Because I've since seen the same problem again on another kid with a big head. His hands look good.
Right. So you think the big head is just a separate issue?
Yeah, it's a totally different illness. It's
Right.
like having a headache and a cold at the same time.
Right.
It's,
So
you know.
not always connected.
But the weird thing is, right, looking around in the week at weird stuff on the internet, there was this woman who's got a big head,
Oh yeah.
and she was fed up with it because when she was walking down the street, it was so big she couldn't hold it up.
Right.
Right.
She couldn't hold it up.
Oh God! Oh God!
Okay, shut up.
So
She
when
couldn't hold it up.
when she was walking, her eyes were hurting because she had to sort of look up all the time because her head was that heavy. Her chin was sort of balanced on her chest.
Right. And she'd have to peek up. Yeah.
So she goes to the doctors, and this was after years and years, and said, I thought I could put up with it, but I can't. It's hurting
How
my
big
eyes.
was her head?
It's
I
big,
think
Rick.
I don't know if it was like big because there wasn't a picture. I don't know if it was just big or a lot of bone, so it was heavy.
Very heavy.
Right, like the Elephant Man, just
So
outcrops.
yeah, right. So so the doctor said, we can sort that out. but we'll have to take your head off.
Right.
Okay,
No,
okay,
but
so
listen
keep
to
going.
this.
Okay,
Listen.
keep going.
Because what you don't seem to understand is I have the same reaction to you when I see it.
Yeah.
What?
Right?
You're quizzical yourself.
So
You're
I looked
suspicious.
at it, they took her head off, chipped away a bit of the bone, made her head lighter, put it back on.
Right, play the Smiths. This
They
is Ask.
took a woman's head off.
Yeah, this is Asked by the Smiths.
And if you'd like to ask Carl something, details coming up soon. How's that? Good.
Ask by the Smiths on XFM 104.9. So, what's the email, Carl? If people want to ask you something, a problem, they've got a problem to solve. It can be anything. It could be a personal problem. It could be a scenario. It could be about. It could be about war. It can be anything. But
Or it could be more flippant, I suppose, and light-hearted.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, but I prefer stuff that I could
So you
sort
can get your teeth into.
and actually, sort out.
What, like war?
War is too. It's a bit big for me, that one.
Do you think?
I don't want to get into that.
What do you mean? If Tony Blair came to you and he went, Carl, listen, I'm having a bit of trouble here. I don't know what to do. I've tried everything. I've tried spin. I've tried being tough. I've tried backing down. I've tried getting other countries involved. They don't want to know. What do I do? What do I do? You don't know?
Tricky one.
It is a tricky one, it is a tricky one, yeah.
I don't worry about it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just get in the bath, put a mattress on top of you. That's it.
Sorry, why are you doing that?
Ooh, slow down.
Why are you doing that?
That's what they say you do, isn't it? If it kicks off.
If what kicks off?
If there's a war and that, you get in the bath, put a mattress on top.
Right. Did they do that in the Second World War for 6 years?
Was that making bunk beds?
That's just what I read somewhere.
Yeah.
Is the bath full of water?
No. That'd be daft.
Okay.
But I think they were enamel baths then, though. I think they'd stop a bit of shrapnel. I think the plastic ones you get nowadays would probably melt on you. And the mattress, where your dad has cut it in half, all the foam would come out and the springs would get you in the eye.
Oh, talking about my dad. Steve, you'll love this, right?
Go on.
My dad hates being ripped off, right?
Yes. Well, no, I can relate to that. That's important.
Hates coming to London now. He always wants me to go and see them rather than come here, because he just thinks London is like a big rip-off. Last time he came, he got annoyed because I bought him a scone and a cup of tea for like 3 of us, and it was £14, and he just was livid. And then we had an argument about that, and then we went to the Millennium Wheel, and I said, do you fancy going on this? He said, oh, all right. And then he saw the price, and it was something like 20 quid or something. And he said, 20 quid to go up in the air to look at stuff that's on the ground. He said, I might as well stay on the ground.
Brilliant.
Right? Thought, good point.
His logic is impeccable.
So anyway, this is going on. Anyway, he spoke to me the other day. I said, how are things? Are they all right? And that? He said, oh, being ripped off. I said, why? He said he ordered, do you know the place where he got a new bed from because he cut the other one in half?
Yeah.
Right? He got this bed out of a catalogue. So he sorted out a payment on the phone. He said, look, you're ripping me off a bit here on the interest thing, but well, let's do a deal. We'll sort out a new monthly payment that's different to what it says in the catalogue. And he said, yeah, we'll go along with that. Anyway, so he sorted that out. He was happy. The bed arrived. It's a nice bed. He said, that's great. So anyway, he got the bill for it, and it was the original price.
Oh, I thought it might be the case, yeah.
Right? So he called up and said, I'm not happy with this. He said, we said a deal. And I'm like, oh, no, don't know what you're talking about. He said, right, don't send me your catalogues anymore. He said, I'm not buying anything from you. You're a rip-off merchant. Right? So anyway, few weeks go by. Post comes. Only another catalogue in the post.
He's livid.
Right? So he was well annoyed.
Yeah. So
he looked on the back, and it said on it, this catalogue will always be property of, the company that does it. So you can't throw it away. If we request to have it back, we've got the permission to get it back off you. Right? So he thought, right, well, they're out of order. I told them not to send me one, and they have done, and they're saying I can't chuck it away. So he called them up and said, all right, Mr. Pilkington here, bought a bed off you, you conned me, and that. But, forget that. We've dealt with that. You've sent me a catalogue, I told you not to. It says on the back here that this will always be yours. Yeah? So, in a way, you're using my house as a warehouse. I'll be charging you 26 pence or something a day.
Brilliant.
He said, you already owe me £6.28. Something like that.
Genius.
And, sorted it out. So again, it's just...
So hang on, but are they going along with this?
I don't know what happened. He said they sounded annoyed and said they'd get back to him, and they haven't. But he said, I'm not bothered. They can take as long as they want because the money just keeps going up.
Yeah. What
So-
sort of profit has he made so far?
Well, when I spoke to him in the week, it was like £6 odd.
Yeah.
I think that was on Tuesday.
So
So
he's-
he's just leaving it.
he's
It's like
laughing.
an investment.
Yeah.
It's like
It's like an antique he's
It's
bought.
just,
Yeah.
it's just going up every day. So
Well, keep us posted on that. That's
Yeah,
dynamite.
it's going
One day we need to speak to your father.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
many questions
I think
need to
we
be
do.
asked of him.
In fact, I might say and give you a letter to take home.
Yeah.
Dear Mr. Pilkington, your son Carl.
New single from Nick Cave. I think you'll
I'm
enjoy
looking forward to it.
Yeah. That's the forthcoming single from Nick Cave from his album Nocturama. That's called Bring It On.
That's great. I must admit, I was a latecomer to Nick Cave.
He's
I was,
extraordinary, yeah.
I mean, years into his solo stuff before, I decided that he was brilliant.
Yeah,
He's fantastic.
He's fantastic. I had some exciting news this week, Carl. You'll be pleased to find out. I'm worried that you might get a little bit jealous because it's obviously going to impact on your world quite strongly. Because I know you think you like things to be quite samey. You like the status quo to be maintained. You like the fact that in the past, we've had some crosswords. Because I remember. What did you think of me when I first walked in? When I first came in on the first day of
I don't know
XFM?
why you're making a big deal.
Do you wanna
out of
bring
it,
it-
because
do you wanna
I'm
mention it?
just
Do you
being
wanna
honest though. I'm just
Well-
being honest about a lot of people who see you for the first time sort of go, well, he's a bit weird.
I love that, Steve, that you brought it up, and then you're again.
But I'm sure that wasn't what he said before.
No,
did
he
say
did.
before?
Yeah, well,
he's
I-
a bit weird.
Yeah, well, he looked at you, and I knew. I could see by the look on his face. You know when you know your kid, and your kid's sort of scared of something, and they go, "Why's your kid?" And he goes, "Oh, he doesn't like pigeons or spiders."
Right.
It was like that. When I saw Carl, and I brought you in, and I went, "What do you think of that, Carl?" I could see the look on his face that he was disturbed.
Sure.
And then, as he said, you get used to it, don't you?
Yeah, you get used to it. And you have changed a little bit. Your hair's a bit smarter now, and you've got some nicer glasses and that, I think. Or I might just got used to it.
Whoa! Don't bring it up, Steve. Don't
Well-
look at me like that.
So you say that you think some other people in the office thought the same? Do you know that for sure?
Carl.
Did you discuss it?
Carl.
Yeah, I think they do, yeah.
Okay, leave it there then.
But not just in the office, as you walk through the building.
Oh, it's
done.
worse than you ever thought.
Well, no, it's not worse than I ever thought because, as you well know, Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
What did I do on Thursday morning?
Oh, is this the thing?
For those that perhaps are not of the female persuasion listening, there's a magazine. Apparently, it sells quite well. It's one of the sort of female, kind of issues magazines. I think it's called Company Magazine. It's like your sort of, I guess it's a bit like your Moore or your Vanity Fair or
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, they run every year the 50 most eligible bachelors in Great Britain section. Ding dong, hello. Who's in there this year? In the 50, in the top 50 of the entire country.
And then they vote, and they put them in order and see who's the most eligible bachelor.
But that's 50 people, right? It always annoys me slightly because bachelor, it kind of seems like a more sophisticated word for loser, doesn't it?
no.
Which always sort of unnerves me
And also,
slightly.
they try and do a different 50 every year, so they're
But-
getting pretty desperate to get different ones.
No,
There's not many.
no,
Because
no.
also, a lot of people who are sort of like successful, are married, so there's very little to.
No,
Go on,
no,
then.
no. There's a huge. I don't know if this is international.
Sure.
I could be up there with the likes of Justin Timberlake,
Sure.
etc. So Fred Durst.
Yeah.
That sort of person, So anyway, this is what's exciting, right? Although I'm slightly frustrated because they were telling me that last year, all right, because what happens is the readers of the magazine, they vote for who they think is number one, most eligible bachelor, right? Last year, the prize was a 2-week trip in the Bahamas, okay? This year, I'm rather annoyed because all I'm going to win is a moped. That's the prize this year. That's the prize this year, a moped.
Whoa, backtrack.
What?
Sorry? Last year was a 2-week trip to Bahamas, and this year
Just
what?
a moped. All I'm going to get is a
All
moped.
you're going to win is a moped.
Yeah, I'm
You're
so
not
g-
you got no chance.
You're
You've
having
got
enough.
no chance.
You're
Who
having
else is in it? Who else is in it?
Well, I mean, I don't know lots of them are people you'd never heard of. I know Duncan from Blue. is in
Ding.
this.
So,
No.
so you're second to him at least already. I imagine you're going to come behind the other 49.
No,
So,
no,
but, you
because
know,
there'll
but-
be people voting for me. They
yeah,
get to vote for me.
yeah, Steve.
They'll
I
see my photo and then they can vote for me.
Yeah, according to he, I was 22nd most sexy man in the world.
I better take that helmet back.
I would. AC/DC.
Brilliant.
You should be all night long on XFM 104.9. Well, this show is a rocking.
It is. It is.
Ricky
indeed.
Gervais, Steve Merchant, Carl Pilkington. I came up with a new strand for Carl as well. He's always got, we've done, I don't think there's a week gone where we haven't mentioned an hairy kid.
A hairy child,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah. And some related to a monkey and that. And I thought you could do a regular thing where he's got to come up with a story about an ape or a monkey. And it's called Chimpanzee That.
Of course.
I have got one, but I can't remember it at the moment, so I'll just have to
It'll
think
come to you
about
whenever
that.
you join the
Yeah.
show. Well, listen, while you're thinking about that, while you're stewing on that, here's a problem that someone's emailed in. We're taking emails today. If you've got a problem, a concern, or, just a general query that you think Carl could answer for you. It could be about anything. It could be about some of the big kind of philosophical questions.
Yeah.
It could be something to do with war or famine, anything like that. Or it could just be a personal dilemma, something that's happening locally. Anyway, this seems one that I think you and your father have probably come across this sort of dilemma in the past. And I'd be interested to know what your take is on it. Let me see, this is from Lee Matthews by the look of it. He says, he lives in a suburban area where the local teenagers also live on the same road, and they're running riot. They're smashing wing mirrors off the cars, they're crashing into parked cars on their skateboards, they're just generally making mayhem, night and day. What can he do to stop this going on? The parents of the kids don't seem to give a damn. Anyone who complains to them, they just say, "I'll piss off." The police are useless because they never catch them in the actual act of violence, which is what they got to do to apparently convict them. So they don't know who to turn to, really. It's rather like when a little old lady went and got the A-team, at the beginning of the show.
And he was dressed as an elderly Chinaman.
Exactly.
She knew who he was. Colonel Decker didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
You see, it's weird, because now it has got out of hand. Do you know what I mean? Like, years ago when I was growing up on the estate, yeah, you had problems, but not like you have now. Do you know what I mean?
Summers were nice as well, weren't they?
Well, it did seem that way, didn't it?
Yeah.
Right. And
Police are getting shorter and younger.
But you yourself kind of admitted in the past that you were something of a tearaway. You didn't do anything
but
like these kids
I
here.
mean, the
but
thing is, I was scared that if I got caught doing it, my dad would go mad.
Yes.
And I remember smashing a car window by accident and legging it in the lounge and sort of pretending to go asleep on the settee. Right?
Genius.
And I heard a knock at the door.
He chloroformed himself just to be unconscious when his dad came home.
And there was a knock on the door, and I thought, oh god, this is the fella who saw me. I was chucking a stone in the air, seeing how high I could throw it.
Of course you were. Did it keep landing on your head? That would explain a lot.
And it came down.
Chucking a stone in the air, love
To
it.
see how far I could throw it.
Brilliant.
So, I wasn't bothering anyone.
Did you
by
invent that game?
Right,
Did you get the stone for your birthday? Go and play with your stone.
He gave one to Suzanne.
Carl, go and play with your stone.
The thing is, right, and it came down at a funny angle, and
Of course it did.
It ate the back of this car, and the back window is the most expensive because it has that heating thing in it.
Yeah.
In case you got a frosty window.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh god. So I legged it in, got on the settee, went to sleep, knocked at the door.
Genius. It's a brilliant plan. It's a brilliant plan. I couldn't be guilty. I'm asleep.
So
I love the idea.
So the thing is, our lounge used to sort of you could see in from the door, right? So this family who saw me do it saw me asleep on the settee, and my mum said, "Go and get the door," and I sort of went, "What?" as if I'd been asleep.
Yeah.
I went to the door, like rubbing my eyes, and the fella said, "What did you run off for? I saw you." I was like, "Oh no," and I didn't see my dad. I went out. It was when he was working sort of evenings, so I went out so I didn't have to see my dad. And then the next day I came home from school, and my dad said, 45 quid.
Ooh.
That's all he said.
That's
And
all
he
he said.
looked at me.
And then you fell asleep when he went, wake up, wake up. You know what I said? No, 45 quid.
Now the thing
Carl.
is, he didn't have to do
£45,
anything.
Carl. Now, I know you were saving up for a brick, but you can't have it. Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? It's like, I knew I did wrong, and I was scared that my dad was going to belt me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll be more careful next
But
time.
that was clearly good parenting on the part of your father, because these young tykes, clearly they don't have the
what do you do?
the father
I
support.
don't
do
even.
they?
I don't know
If you were living in that street, very quickly, what would you do? What would your approach be? If you were living in his street.
What if they'd come home, right, and they just vandalised all your pebbles, right, that you'd been saving over the years, and just threw your gravel away? What would you do if they just...
I'd probably clout one of them.
So you'd use violence?
I think it's the only way sometimes.
Sometimes the only way.
And I don't mean, you know, really bad, but I'd show them that I'm not putting up with this.
Right.
And then the problem is you've got their family coming round, and they're probably quite.
Go to sleep. If you hit a kid and the dad comes down, just go to sleep.
Yeah.
Just.
Equally, if you're doing a bigger crime, you know, a bank job or a murder.
Remember to take the stocking off your head, because they wake you up and go, "Why have you got a stocking on your head?" Just go, "Oh, I had a weird dream." It won't work.
It's like with our kid, right? He was. I told Ricky about this the other day in the pub, but it's.
Is this your brother?
He never, yeah.
Because he was a terror, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, a little bit, but it
he
was
did
more
drive a tank down the high street once, didn't he?
Yeah, that's when he was in the army.
Yeah.
But
Another story.
But this time, I remember my mum and dad were going out right for the evening, and I must have been about 5, so our Mark was like probably 18, something like that, 16, 17, 18. So my mum and dad go out, and our Mark says to me, "Right, here's a deal. Do your little deal. I'm going to have a load of women round." Right? Deal is, I'll let you have your tractor in the house.
Wow, he had a tank, you had a tractor.
but his brother didn't have the rocks that Carl had.
No.
So he needed the tractor to put his toys
along. What
along.
kind of a man was he? He brought a bunch of women round.
So, yeah, there was loads of... But do you know when you're a kid, you don't think, oh, I know what they're up to. You're not bothered, are you? Do you know what I mean? As long as I've got my tractor, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So I was...
He hasn't changed a bit.
But how many women did he have around? Was it just him and, like, a bunch of women?
Yeah.
Was it like, what's his name? What's his name? Like Nedwell from Confessions?
Yeah.
Confessions of an Older
They all
Brother.
just came round and had a
He
big
liked
orgy.
his women. Seriously, right, my mum and dad had to move because they got sick of women coming round saying, I've got a kid and it's your Mark's. They had to move because it got that bad.
You know, did you hear, when you were playing on your tractor and there was women running back and forth in underwear, did you ever hear this noise? Did you ever hear that?
Or kind of wow, 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 wow.
Wow, 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 wow. And just see your brother's arse disappearing down the thing
exactly.
being chased by a butcher. Did you ever?
It's not important.
Is that what it's going to be like, do you think, when I'm voted #1 most eligible bachelor in Great Britain?
Yeah, and you come in on your moped.
I mean, no, am I going to get a tractor?
Cheering brakes, painkiller. Open brackets, summer rain, close brackets. On XFM 104.9, Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant, Carl Pilkington.
Rockbusters?
Is it that time?
It is indeed. Last week, of course, it was a disaster.
Yep, every Saturday at 16 minutes to 2, we do Rockbusters.
I have to say that I've not really gone through them, but the prizes look exactly the same as they were last week.
Yeah.
There's that T-shirt.
So it's a
There's
rollover,
still-
but you haven't added to it.
Have you not
The
added
point of a
anything to
rollover
it?
is you've got to add to it. That's the excitement.
Yeah,
not
there's a couple of albums that were.
Okay, well, it's also the Fools and Horses video with the free...
I don't think... I'm bloody jealous of that. I like that little yellow thing.
It's a little, there's a little kind of model three-wheeled van.
Rodney, you plonker.
Oh, dear.
What's that?
This is what looks to be some kind of best of the stereo MCs.
Don't call me a plonker, you wanker.
The David Attenborough DVD collection.
Oh, the Unk shit himself again.
Oh, yeah, the big prize that we tried to give away Best chill out album.
Cassandra.
Who is that supposed to be an impression of? Which member of the cast is that?
Oh.
Is that Cheeky Dell?
I don't know.
Best chill out album ever, the best air
Brilliant.
guitar volume 2, and of course for all our fans, Doctor Who, The Aztecs. That's on DVD, and that's one of the William Hartnell Doctor Who. All right, that's the worst impression I've ever heard. That's brilliant.
Right, Rockbusters then.
Right, three cryptic stuff. Oh, come on.
Right.
Rodney,
Three. I can't do it.
No, come on.
Right, three cryptic clues.
some of which may be wrong.
Yeah, and don't take the letters literally.
Yeah.
Right, go on.
And some initials, and it makes up a band. So here we go then. There's 3 of them. You email in ricky.gervais@xfm.co.uk.
Yeah.
Right, here we go then.
Sure.
Number 1. The weather stinks, doesn't it?
The weather stinks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's R.
Right.
The weather stinks, doesn't it?
Yeah. Second one. Look, Gran, just get on the boat and help us out.
All right, give us that again.
Look, Gran, just get on the boat and help us out.
Look, Gran, just get on the boat and help us out. What's the initial?
R again.
R again. Interesting.
Yeah. And then the third one, if you're going to do that with your drink, I'd let it settle for a bit before you open it. CK.
CK.
All right.
Once more.
So quickly, all the way through then. Number one, the weather stinks, doesn't it? That's R. Look, Gran, just get on the boat and help us out, will you? That's R as well. And then the last one, if you're going to do that to your drink, I'd let it settle for a bit before you open it. CK.
Ricky.gervais@xfm.co.uk.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Right, we'll have a bit of vinyl.
Let's have a classic from the Merchant Collection.
That's going to be the new single from Eminem. Sing for the moment. I like that.
It's not
on
bad,
XFM 104.9. Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant, Carl Pilkington. All right, Carl?
All right.
What's the matter? Huh?
Just, you know what's the matter?
What?
Should I explain?
If you want.
I'm sort of an independent adjudicator, and I couldn't help but notice that you both went out to make the teas, but only one of you came back with a wig made out of that poppy stuff that you pack.
Bubble wrap.
Bubble wrap, yeah. That you
And
pack
he didn't
into-
want me to do it with sellotape, so I kindly did it with elastic bands that I found.
That's nice,
Apparently it hurt his ear, it's cut into his head, and look at him, he's annoyed. I don't know.
There's not many times I've ever done, any form of work really, where halfway through it, let's say a 2-hour live radio show, one of the people has said to the other, "Can I make out of this big cardboard box a bishop's hat for you?"
Well, I did that, and
And start fashioning that.
And
Well, you
yeah,
should be
but and the
concentrating on the
sellotape
show.
hurt his eyebrows. So when we went to the kitchen, I kind of did it with elastic bands, and that was cutting into his ear or something. I don't know, making excuses. Oh,
Carl, you are here for Ricky Gervais's amusement. I think if you check the small print of your contract.
have you got anything interesting about a monkey or an ape, so we can do chimpanzee that?
I know something that a lot of other people will know, but I'll
Well, let's do it then.
What's it called again?
Where should we do a jingle?
Well, do a little jingle for us then.
Oh, chimpanzee that!
Brilliant. That's great.
Right.
So I look forward to that every week.
Yeah.
And what's
Go on,
your
then, what's the
interesting
interesting
chimp fact?
Right, it's about this monkey ages ago.
Of course.
Don't know where it happened.
17th century?
I think it was a chimp.
Right.
Got caught having a fag. Do you know it?
What do you mean, do I know it? Oh, narrow it down. Loads of chimps are caught with woodbines.
Right.
He
it was
got
having
caught having a fag.
So it was sent to court. And
Was it underage?
it was
And it got someone to go into the newsagent for him.
Did he get a bigger gorilla
Yeah,
to
got
go
a
into the
bigger
newsagent
gorilla.
to get 20 Rothmans?
it ended up doing time. Because it was
Go
so
back a minute.
inconvenient.
Wait a minute.
What I mean-
Whoa.
No,
Whoa.
I don't know that's as much as I know, so there's no point questioning.
That is as much as you know, isn't it? Quite literally.
Sorry, but why did he go to prison?
It's against the law to have a monkey having a fag. Wherever it was.
In a built-up area. What are you talking about? It's against the law for a monkey to have a fag. What if it got it himself? Even if it just... What about if it earned it himself, just like moving tyres round
I
or
don't-
mucking out
honestly.
the zebras?
I don't know the full story. That's
You don't know the full story, do you?
But do you think?
You never do,
Because I
do you?
presume it was a monkey from a zoo, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be fed up, though? Because in a way, it's home from home, innit? When I read it, I didn't think it was that bad because I just
Carl,
thought, well,
they don't put monkeys in prison.
They didn't put the monkey in a prison.
They're overcrowded. They haven't got the space.
Well, I'll find it and give you where I got it from, and you
Chopper Harris was furious because the monkey got the top bunk.
Yeah.
Can I just?
And he did. Okay then. Oh, chimpanzee that. Another one next week.
I don't think so. Rockbusters, right? Can I just recap?
Yeah, because actually I have to say you've really stumped people this week.
Yeah.
Well, either that or they
God,
just can't
yeah,
be bothered
wrong.
anymore.
Well, they're wrong again.
No, right.
I
let me
think the
just-
prizes are so pitiful they can't be asked.
Let me just explain it again, just in case they don't understand it. It's a cryptic clue, right? And it makes up a band, and the initial that I
Sometimes.
give you is the initial that the band or the artist starts off with. So, last week, I can't remember, but we did AK, an exploding pet, atomic kitten. That explains
Yeah.
it. So very quickly, number one.
No, last week
Right.
we did FP. That you gave out the clue. FD, Frida Payne.
Yeah, it was an error. So the
They're
first
all right
one,
this week, though, are they?
yeah, the weather stinks, doesn't it? That's the cryptic clue, and the letter is R. Number 2.
That's the rainy smell, boys.
Right. Look, Gran, just get on the boat and help us out, will you? That's R as well. And the last one, if you're
That's rigging nanny.
if you're going to do that to your drink, I'd let it settle for a bit before you open it. That's CK.
Right.
Ricky.gervais@xfm.co.uk. Plus, keep your problems and queries coming in for Carl. We've got another one as well, which I'd like to give you after the next track, Carl, if I may. All right?
All right.
You've got a problem, haven't you?
What with? Oh yeah.
Listen to this, Carl.
Let's play a record. Let's come back with this.
It's an amazing problem.
It's a god-awful small affair.
Wow. You're getting celebrities asking you questions now, Carl. That's David Bowie. Is there life on Mars? Do you reckon?
I reckon there's more going on than just us messing about. I reckon.
I hope so.
I think.
Tell Steve your problem that you aired to me.
Well, do you know, like I'm always thinking about stuff when I'm washing up.
Mm.
I'm just going to look at Steve for the reaction when this question comes out. Okay.
There's been a few things I've been thinking about. Do you know, like how I try to confuse a computer by putting in Y in the search engine?
Yeah.
So, along the lines of that, I was thinking in the week, if you put a chameleon on a mirror, what would happen?
Right.
And also, this is a bit of a bigger issue. We're always making more and more stuff, right? In the world, you know, big buildings, big planes, big boats, and that. Will we ever get to a point where all this is too heavy for the world to handle?
Right. What error has he made there, Steve? What physical, scientific error has he made there with that question?
I can't begin to explain it.
Carl, we're not getting the rocks from other planets. It's already here. It's like having a big pile of books in a room and then moving them over to the other side of the room and building a thing going, oh, can the room take it? I'm building a lot of things out of these books.
What about plastic? Where's that come from?
Other chemicals that existed on the planet.
Yeah.
Do you see the point?
Hang on a minute, though. What about a little tree? You plant that as an acorn, it grows, Rick. That's bigger. That's more stuff.
Yeah.
Don't listen to him, Carl. He's patronising you.
What about acorns and that, though?
Right. They grow from minerals and proteins already in our atmosphere or in our the mass of Earth.
What about a cat, Carl? Right, you get it. It's a very tiny kitten, but it grows up and it's bigger.
Carl, he's doing it on purpose.
Elephants.
They're very small to begin with, but they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and so they get heavier and heavier.
Mind you, dinosaurs have gone.
You know, but you. But you know that's famously that's how Atlantis disappeared. You know, you've heard of the legend of Atlantis. Have you heard of the legend of Atlantis?
I think so.
This was a city that existed. It's proven,
Yeah.
right? And what happened was they just kept buying stuff in mail order. They just kept ordering stuff, like the king and stuff. Just kept ordering stuff in mail order. He brought girls across,
Carpets, lot of
carpets. He kept buying TV set, big screen TVs and stuff like that. And eventually,
he bought up all the myrrh that the wise men didn't want.
Yeah, because he's from like olden times, and he just kept buying stuff, crazy. Like he was just a shopaholic, basically.
Mental it was.
And he was ludicrous. It was like, and in the end, it just sunk. It just sunk.
Too heavy.
And it just sunk.
So, to the Earth, the more planes we build, the more trees we let grow.
Yeah.
From acorns.
And more than that, what about all the people who are overeating?
There's only one
your
thing
Rick
to
Wallers
do.
in this world.
I think we've got to kill off endangered species and burn trees. That's the only way the Earth can survive. You mental. Right, what are you doing?
Right.
Okay, look, quick query for you. This is from Jay. He's got a problem here. He says, my parents won't let me ditch my studies. He's currently reading modern languages at London University.
Sure.
He wants to follow his dream, but his parents won't let him, of being a dancer. Carl. Worse than that, he says that they're trying to arrange a marriage to a bunch of minging daughters of people they know from good families. He doesn't know what to do, so he's got the arranged marriage coming along, and he's also got, he basically wants to be a dancer. His parents are forcing him into something more practical.
Well, the first thing, right, I don't think
Live your dreams?
The arranged marriage thing is such a bad idea.
Okay.
Because I think too many people go on looks.
Right.
And then you soon get bored of that, and you find out the person who you're knocking about with is actually not your type.
Right.
Why don't you arrange marriages for people?
Well, I'm just saying, right, so I'd say, Jay, go along with that. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay.
I mean, if they're really ugly, then, don't go along with it. But if they're half bad,
yeah,
put up with it. That's
sure.
all right. The dancing,
Brilliant.
right?
That's that solved.
Brilliant.
I wanted to be a dancer. After I did the boxing, right, I joined a dancing thing just near Man United's ground, right, called Twiggies. Went along, I wanted to learn some moves. And
How old were you?
Well, it was when Michael Jackson was, like, pretty big, so about 83, 84, 85, something like that, around there. Wanted to do it. When I went, it was shut, and I'd become like a warehouse for toilet rolls. So in a way, I wonder what would have happened.
Sorry. How is that an anecdote about you going through dancing? You've told me before you did boxing for a while, you did dancing for a while. You had a true fight in the boxing. You didn't even get in the. That's not an. Imagine if that was a film. This is a boy's dreams of becoming a dancer. Oh, it's shut. Next on. I mean, how is that a story?
Yeah, that was Billy Elliot. Do you think it would have won quite as many awards?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I'm fed up. They banned it. Let's go to Eyes Shut. Flash dance. First, there was. It's a warehouse. Never mind. You.
I'm just saying, you'll find something else. I think I got a go-kart after that. I bought a motorised go-kart and kept myself busy with that. So. There's always other things.
Just think, Alan Bennett has to sit down and really sweat over his stories.
Yeah.
He just opens his mouth.
You are a living Alan Bennett character.
So
that's solved. Well, Jay, don't worry about that. There's no emotional problems I can foresee if you follow that advice.
So the advice there is do an arranged marriage.
If she's not
ugly.
minging,
she's not completely minging.
Yeah.
And don't worry about dancing. Get a go-kart. Cheers.
Great. Keep your problems coming in.
Truth, Rest Your Head by Gene on XFM 104.9. Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant, Carl Pilkington. While I was with Carl in that restaurant, while I was giving him the problems, the old fella with Viagra and the two fellas making love in the cubicle, we came up with a new idea because he's dumping. Do we need him? As I say, 'cause he thinks the scientists have got together, they're never going to wipe out a limpet or a slug. They think they're good, but they're not that good. This is people that are lauded as great minds, and Carl has brought them down.
He's taken issue with them.
Like what? He went, right, great thinkers, and I went, okay, then, Sir Isaac Newton, the father of modern physics. He went, is he the fellow with the apple? I went, yeah. He went, there again, see? Why do I need to know that the Earth sucks us towards it, gravity? He said, if I was floating around, it would be a problem. I'd ask his opinion. I went, what about Einstein? He went, again, I've never needed, and this is what he said, I've never needed MC squared in my life. The fella who invented the video, I watch one a day.
You know what I mean, though? Give credit where credit's due.
Right.
And I think that a lot of this stuff that was invented, like when we were talking about inventions, I started to look in books and that, finding stuff out. And there was some fella who got a mention on an invention site just because he came up with the fishbowl. And it's like, is it that hard?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's clearly a bowl.
Sorry, you're not putting him in the same category as Newton and Einstein, are you?
He was on the same list. Einstein was on there. It was saying about him doing that. And Newton with the apple. And who else was in there? Da Vinci, whatever. He was
Leonardo
on there.
da Vinci.
Yeah. Is he the one who did Mona Lisa as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. He said it took him 12 years to paint the lips. I don't think that's that good. Like, it takes that long. I saw, when you saw Tony Hart do like an Aborigine man with a elephant in the background, took about 3 minutes.
Aborigine. An Aborigine?
Well,
really? An elephant?
So what about some of the big names?
Well,
Just
go on,
what's your first reaction when I say some big names from history?
Go on.
Gandhi.
Again, what did he do?
Good point.
Right.
Good point.
Okay.
Good point.
But yeah, all right. Do you understand what he represents?
Well, go on, tell me, and then I'll tell you if he deserves to
But
be mentioned.
his whole kind of attitude towards peaceful protest. It's quite a sort of modern idea. Very much the forefather of the '60s movement. Where people would sort of sit in, and protest.
Steve. Right, look at the glazed look on his
Did
face.
I lose him on Gandhi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just
Pick
it's not.
someone else. Do someone else.
Pick someone else. Okay.
all
Well,
right.
someone you know about that's obviously. Let's think. A great thinker. Isambard Kingdom Brunel.
Right. Yeah, he's all right.
Brilliant. Thanks. What about?
What about Jesus Christ?
Well, I'm thinking more your modern day, like your Richard Bransons and that. Who,
Okay.
like, you know.
I would. To be fair, I wouldn't put Branson up there with Gandhi.
Christ, Newton,
Christ.
Einstein.
But why?
Stephen Hawking.
Because he's mainly known for having a beard and a funny jumper. To be honest,
Yeah,
you have to start including
No,
Noel
that's
Edmonds.
that's Noel Edmonds. Yeah, you're getting confused there.
But Branson's a businessman. He's not one of the great sort of scientific
But
minds
I
or
think in
philosophical
time,
thinkers.
right? In time. we
Whereas
would've
Clive
worked out-
Sinclair, in his little car on his way to work, brilliant.
No, but in time, there's certain things like the apple falling off a tree.
Right.
Whoever was sat there would have gone, that's a bit odd. Do you know what I mean? It's just that
Yeah.
they were there first.
But to be fair, Christ instigated 2,000 years of religion based on his teachings. Richard Branson, to be fair, he did launch Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells.
Yeah,
They're
see
not
the
quite
difference?
comparable.
See, this is there.
it depends what you get impressed by, doesn't it? Suzanne's always saying...
Maybe Newton was there. He was coming up with a brilliant theory, like amazing. He was probably inventing the helicopter, right? The apple hit him in the head, and he went, "The Earth's sucking me. The Earth's sucking me."
There
You know what I mean?
Could have happened. But, so, you know, my girlfriend's always saying, what impresses you?
Yeah.
You know, because she was saying the other day, do you want to go to Egypt? And I said, no, not really.
No.
She goes, well, don't you want to see the pyramids?
Not interested.
It's like, I've seen them on the telly.
Okay.
You know,
Sure.
are they going to be that much more amazing when you see them
Yeah,
in real
good
life?
point. Good point. Good point.
Uh,
How did you ever move out of your street in Manchester?
But hang on, no, sorry, I'm interested to know because this is something that that he came up with, and this is someone that loves him and that he respects. So I'm interested to see what was your answer to what impresses you.
I don't think I did answer it. I just said, the odd
You
thing.
just said I'm asleep.
Little things. Little things, like I ran home the other night and said, oh, I've just learnt something today. She goes, go on. And, Lego bricks?
Oh yeah.
The name came about because some kid's mum, the kid was messing with the bricks, and she said, let go of them and come and have your dinner.
Play record.
It's got to be rubbish. It's got to
Play
be
record.
rubbish.
It's always rubbish, isn't it?
Well, they're Scandinavian for a start. So,
It's
well,
Scandinavian.
there's no. Let go. Boys are back in town. Thin Lizzy, what a classic.
Beautiful.
Carl, should that be our anthem, me, you and Steve, eh? Eh? Yeah?
Can I just get a couple of bits of admin out of the way?
Go on.
We've had an email from Peter Goff. He has said, where is Richard Anderson?
Where
he,
is
he only
Dickers?
tunes in to listen to him.
Where's
and it's absolutely
Dickley?
true
Where's
enough.
little Dicky Docker?
Little Dickie Anders has not emailed in. If you don't listen normally, Anders is our biggest fan.
He
Normally he's got
loves
some,
us. I just absolutely
but he's
thinks the
normally
world
got
of...
a little bit of constructive criticism,
Oh,
which
well,
we
I
always
mean, it's
appreciate.
not- Yeah, we're open to that. Sure, sure,
Exactly.
sure.
So-
you! I'm gonna shove this up your...
So if Dickie Anders is listening, then he might want to get in touch. Also, dear Ricky, I've developed a bit of a fetish for the way you say "winnersh" in your hit sitcom The Office. I'm trying to get my fiance to say it, but he hasn't quite mastered it yet. Anyway, we're getting married in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks' time. Could you please say "winnersh" on air as a sort of early
It's
wedding present?
becoming one of the most popular requests at weddings now, me saying Winnersh. So, Winnersh. There's a few I didn't get in. Thatcham. Shinfield. So, there's a Woodley.
There you are.
There you go.
That's beautiful. That's keeping them happy. Good luck to them. That's Leopard. That's one of those stupid email names. If you're going to email us, at least mention your name, because otherwise it makes me sound like a
A
fool.
leopard, the original name for a giraffe.
Interesting. Thanks for that.
Whereas Lego was
Yes.
invented when a mother had sent someone to get some, though there's no name for them. She went, can you go and get some? There was a gap. He went, oh yeah, I'll go and get some, because they weren't called anything. Brought them back, started playing with her. And then she went, look, give me those. He went, no. She went, Lego, you idiot.
Yeah, the actual explanation, various people have emailed us in or phoned in now. The company was set up in 1934. It's a Danish company, obviously.
Yeah.
Lego comes from the Danish words leg got, which means play well, and it was later discovered that it was also a Latin phrase that meant I study or I put together. That's the actual... where did you get that from?
But the thing is, you see, that's where learning's got to be interesting, because if it even started like that, I'd just go, I'm not interested. I'd be looking for...
Oh, so if a fact might be true, but it's just not good enough.
It's not interesting enough for you.
Not interesting enough.
Okay, another quick
Right.
dilemma for
so
you, Carl.
if Newton would have said, apples are attracted to our heads, be careful, they attack you, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
total bollocks, but you'd have been interested, therefore, in all modern physics. All right?
Here's another dilemma for you, a quick one from Kate. She says that she's a single woman, she's 6 foot tall. Recently she's found herself being approached by men of, let's say, restricted height, and she's not desperate, but is it ever acceptable in her, she wants to know now, is it ever acceptable for a taller lady to go out with a person of restricted growth? What do you think about that? If you see that on the street, do you think it looks bizarre, do you think it looks odd, or
So a
should she just
6
go
foot
with it?
woman with,
Someone of a dwarfish persuasion.
we can't say sort of that, or the midget word, but
You
I
can't
mean,
say that, no,
that's
that's
a little fella.
Yeah. Is that, so there's a noticeable difference in their height. Is that ever a problem, do you feel?
She's 6 foot, he's 3'4".
Yeah.
If I saw it, I'd just think she's doing it.
Okay, let's not do this now.
No, come on, she's doing it what?
Oh.
No, for attention in a way. Because
Right.
there's loads of
See,
other
I
people.
told you, Steve.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just. I mean, is that serious?
I think so.
Well, I mean, if it, whatever
God, they
makes you
shouldn't-
happy.
Please don't ask Carl
No,
these
but
sort
do you
of
know what I
questions.
mean? If it makes her happy, then do it. But in a way, you're not going to have a normal life.
Oh, God.
No, but you're not, because they're going to get sick.
I'm
There's no
so
point bringing
sorry.
trouble onto yourself.
Carl does not necessarily reflect the opinions
Of
the
anybody
management.
else in the world.
Hold on. This woman, she doesn't live in a forest in a little cottage, does she? She hasn't got long black hair and wears a sort of...
She says the guy she's going out with is a miner. In
Really?
a crystal mine, yeah. And he just sings all day on his
Has
way
he
to
got
work.
6 mates?
Apparently so.
Okay, what do you think of that, Carl?
I'm still sorry, I wasn't listening. I was thinking about.
Someone just called up and called him dopey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't they?
I mean, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Why? What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you today?
I'm just saying.
What you're fed up with people taking issue with some of the stupid things you say? Lego was invented by a mother going, Lego of that. What are we going to do with all the buildings? The earth might collapse. What do you expect, people? Our listeners know you're talking rubbish, and some of those aren't allowed to wear socks. I mean...
Listen, right, last week when I did Do We Need 'Em, do you know when I called up one of the museums in a science museum?
Yeah, are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm just saying, I wanted to tell you before when the song was on, but you're so busy listening to it.
Yeah,
that I've got
was I so busy listening to a song I was playing?
Yeah, but we're doing a radio show, aren't
All right,
we?
what's your point?
Well, I just wanted to say, she emailed in to say I got her name wrong, so I'm just apologising for that.
What did you call her?
I think I called her Jessica.
What was her name?
I don't know, I've got it on email somewhere.
Well, this is not an apology!
No, I'm
You've
just
got
saying.
it wrong again!
You've not even said her real name. How is that an apology?
Well, I remember, I read the email, so, yeah, I
But who are you apologising to?
I think her name's Jackie, I think.
Oh, you've got it wrong again, haven't you?
Well, anyway, and she just said if you want to see dinosaurs and that, go to the museum.
You were complaining about that as well, weren't you? You went to a museum and there was too many dinosaurs. He said you just need 4.
No, well, Steve, have you been to the one in Knightsbridge?
I think
this
so.
one that I called up, right? It's nice. You go in, you get a good collection of stuff. You walk in, there's 3 or 4 dinosaurs. You've had enough, right? I went into New York, right? Went to the museum there, hundreds of them. You can't move for dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're responsible for them being extinct. There's loads of them. So all I'm saying is, if you want to see a dinosaur, go to the one near Knightsbridge. They've got a nice selection, some old vases and stuff. It's worth going. So.
Do you work for them? Because that was a pretty big sell.
Well, I just thought I'd mention
you
it.
could work that up into quite an advert, I imagine. Brilliant. Carl, you're fed up, aren't you? Because you had to get up early.
Well, that's another thing, but will we give out the answers for...
Let's do that after we've played the next tune. I have to say that I'm wondering if Rockbusters, like Do We Need 'Em, is beginning to run its course, because this week we've had very, very few right answers. I think you're just getting too complicated.
Yeah, because his clues and his answers are rubbish. Why don't you start doing proper ones?
These are good. We started off easy, if
I
you
don't know,
remember.
I think some of them are a bit tortuous.
They
but
don't
anyway,
work. Some of them don't work.
Come up with some stuff then.
let's play a tune.
Well, I have.
And we'll come back with the Rockbusters answers in a second.
You haven't come up with anything.
The Gravediggers. 1-800-SUICIDE. It's a good tune, that. I've always enjoyed it.
XFM 104.9. Well, that's nearly it from Ricky Gervais. That's me. Steve Merchant.
one of the 50 most eligible bachelors in Britain. I hope people as well, if you buy Company Magazine, if there's any ladies listening, every week, of course, I've played you a song for the ladies, and I hope now that you'll be able to return the favour and maybe vote for me. Buy Company Magazine, vote for me, so I become 50, the number one
That's
eligible
seriously,
bachelor.
it wouldn't mean anything then, would it?
What do you mean?
Well, it wouldn't mean anything then, would it? If they voted you and you got into the top 30, it wouldn't mean anything because you've asked them to do it.
What are you talking about? Of course, because it means that they care for me enough, and then they are impressed and charmed by enough that they've actually made that effort. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful
I think that would ruin it.
Well, you know, let's wait and see what the results are.
Do you think? What do you? I mean, just getting off that, because we don't want Steve to use as a platform to get in the top 48. That's bound to. He's bound to beat a couple of people. But what do you think of him now, Carl? Now you've known him for these many years. I mean, what do you think of his looks objectively now that you've known him? Can you remember what you first thought?
Like I say, he's changed a bit. He's sorted himself out a bit.
Yeah.
Looks a bit better.
How was he done? What's he
I
done?
don't know. His hair's better.
Yeah, what was it before?
It was just a bit nothingy. Do you know what I mean? It was just like if you just let your hair grow and do its own thing.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's got a style.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it looks good.
Glasses, he's changed.
His glasses are stylish.
Yeah.
Just stay sat down.
Right, Rockbusters.
Some people like tall men.
Yeah, go on.
That's yeah. Right, first one. The weather stinks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That was R, which was rainbow. Right?
Rainbow?
Like rain is the weather, and it smells like bow. Body odour. Body odour.
No, it's B.O.
It's B.O. That's
it's pronounced
B.O.
Well, yeah, but you've got to play.
It's not pronounced bow, and it's not spout bow.
Who calls it bow? Everyone knows it's B.O.
What, you don't care? You don't care that doesn't work?
Well, they got it, so again, as long
One
as they're
person
getting
got it,
as long
Carl.
as they're getting it.
One person got it. Of all the emails, one person got it.
Second one, look, Gran, just get on the boat, will you, and help us out.
Go on.
That was R. That was Ronan, right?
Ronan, who's Ronan?
Ronan.
Who's Ronan?
Ronan Keating.
But he's known as Ronan Keating.
No, it's not. No, it's not anymore, though. He's gone on his own, hasn't he? He's just known as Ronan.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. It's Ronan Keating.
He's always been known as Ronan Keating.
All right.
So that doesn't work like that. Go on.
Third one.
Next.
If you're going to do that to your drink, I'd let it settle for a little bit before you open it. That was CK.
What?
Shake a can. Shake a can. If you're going to shake, you can.
This is the worst competition ever.
So
it's Chaka.
Have you got?
It's Chaka. It's Chaka. It's Chaka Khan.
Shake a can.
No, Chaka Khan.
What you got?
Chuck a can might have worked. To throw a can.
Who got all three right then?
Well,
because basically what happened was people
We're
just
stopping
emailed in 3 guesses.
We're stopping
and
this.
the guesses that were right came from Mandy Thompson in Hendon.
That's ruined
but
that one
frankly,
then. Well, that's run that into the ground. That's doing Eden ruined.
No, we can't just bin everything on 1 week.
I don't think we're going to get that. Oh, they're not as good as they think they are because you've only picked on Newton Einstein. You don't know anyone else. You don't know who Gandhi is. Chimpanzee that. You've run out of
I did like the jingle for that though.
Oh, chimpanzee that.
That was a great jingle.
Yeah.
But sadly we won't be able to use that again.
So who's won anyway?
Well, it was Mandy Thompson I mentioned, but as I say, she guessed, so I mean, she can have the prizes, she's welcome to them. But I think we should knock it on the head, Carl. Maybe you should come up with something new.
No, I think it's still got a few weeks in it.
I think we should take some time off.
Well.
Yeah. What about, like, the foreseeable future?
Dunno.
Song for the lovers. Do you want to just play
A song
that?
for the ladies. Listen, you know what? I think it's maybe the March issue of Company Magazine. Buy that. Top 50 most eligible people. There's probably an address or a phone number to call. And here's another song for the ladies, maybe just to charm you further. Tom the Model by Beth Gibbons and Rustin Man.
Carl, say goodbye and say it nicely, like you're happy.
See you later.
Oh, is that the best you can do?
I find this scientifically fascinating.
All that is visible must grow beyond us, extend into the realm of the invisible.
Up next we have Brad Steiger's UFO encounter. stories from the next Skinwalker Ranch, and strange apparitions accompanying UFOs in Argentina. We've got all that and a lot more coming up on Mysterious Universe episode 93. Stay with us. Thanks for joining us. You're listening to episode 93 of Mysterious Universe. Welcome to the show. The episode was pushed back a little bit this week, which was kind of good for two reasons. The first off being was a pretty slow news week, and it wasn't until searching around today that I found some really great stories for the show. And second of all, I actually have an interview tonight with our first ever returning guest on Mysterious Universe, Mary Rodwell, who appeared on episode 27 of Mysterious Universe. She was actually our first interview we ever did. So it's fitting to have her back as our first return guest. And that interview's tonight at around 9 p.m. Sydney time. And depending on the length, I might be able to fit it on this show, so we'll have to see how we go. If it's too long, I might actually put it out next week, but that's definitely something to look forward to. The Email of the Week segment we have coming up towards the end of the show features men in black and military helicopters and all sorts of cool stuff, so that's coming up too. But let's get into the stories for episode 93. The first one comes from Bosnia. A man claims to be targeted by aliens. A Bosnian man whose home has been hit an incredible 5 times by meteorites believes he is being targeted by ETs. Experts at Belgrade University have confirmed that all the rocks Mr. Lajic has handed over were in fact meteorites. They are now investigating local magnetic fields to try and work out what makes the property so attractive to the heavenly bodies. But Mr. Lajic, who has had a steel girder reinforced roof put on the house he owns in the northern village of Gornja Lamovite, has an alternative explanation. He's quoted here as saying, "I'm obviously being targeted by extraterrestrials. I don't know what I've done to annoy them, but there is no other explanation that makes sense. The chance of being hit by a meteorite is so small that getting hit 5 times has to be deliberate. The first meteorite fell on his house in November last year, and since then a further 4 has smashed into his home. The strikes always happen when it is raining heavily, never when there are clear skies." He said, "I did not know what the strange-looking stones were at first, but I've since had them all confirmed as meteorites by experts at Belgrade University." He says, "I'm being targeted by aliens. They are playing games with me. I don't know why they are doing this. When it rains, I can't sleep for worrying about another strike." Isn't that bizarre? He's been hit 5 times by meteorites. Wonder if there is some sort of magnetic anomaly hovering over his roof. The next one's an incredible story. It was sent in by lots of people this week. It's from the Associated Press. It deals with cellular memory, which we've covered on the show before. And the article writes, a man who received a heart transplant 12 years ago, widow, died exactly the same way the donor did, of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, they write that no foul play was suspected in the 69-year-old Sonny Graham's death at his Vidalia GA home. According to Greg Harvey, a special agent with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, he was found Tuesday in a utility building in his backyard with a single shotgun wound to the throat. Now, Graham, who was director of the Heritage Golf Tournament at Sea Pines from 1979 to 1983, was on the verge of congestive heart failure in 1995 when he got a call that a heart was available in Charleston. Now, that heart was from a Terry Cottle, who was 33 and who had shot himself. Grateful for this new heart, Graham began writing letters to the donor's family to thank them, and in January 1997, Graham met his donor's widow, Cheryl Cottle. In 2001, Graham bought a home for Cottle and her 4 children in Vidalia, and then 3 years later they were married after Graham retired from his job. Now, obviously the story got interesting when he ended up marrying the widow, but to commit suicide in the same way the donor did, it really is bizarre. And the Daily Mail did a story on this case and said it raised the suggestion that donor patients could not only be acquiring their organs, but also the memories or even part of the soul of the donor. They write that virtually every doctor and scientist will tell you the heart is merely a pump. The seat of our mind, our consciousness, our very soul, if such things exist, lies in the brain. Now, the heart's only control over our mind is whether or not it sends it blood. Ever since William Harvey unravelled the mysteries of the heart and the circulatory system centuries ago, this fact has remained beyond doubt. Well, almost beyond doubt. For a few brave scientists have started claiming that our memories and characters are encoded not just in our brain, but throughout our entire body. Consciousness, they claim, is created by every living cell in the body acting in concert. They argue, in effect, that our hearts, livers, and every single organ in our body stores our memories, drives our emotions, and imbues us with our own individual characters. Our whole body, they believe, is the seat of the soul, not just the brain. And if any of these organs should be transplanted into another person, parts of these memories, perhaps even elements of the soul, might also be transferred. There are now more than 70 documented cases similar to Sonny's where transplant patients have taken on some of the personality traits of the organ donors. Professor Gary Schwartz and his co-workers at the University of Arizona have documented numerous seemingly inexplicable experiences similar to Sonny's, and every single one is a direct challenge to the medical status quo. And I've got one celebrated case here uncovered by Schwartz's team. I'm pretty sure we've covered this one on the show before. An 18-year-old boy who wrote poetry, played music and composed songs was killed in a car crash. A year after he died, his parents came across a tape of a song he had written entitled "Danny, My Heart Is Yours." In his haunting lyrics, the boy sang about how he felt destined to die and donate his heart. After his death, his heart was transplanted into an 18-year-old girl named Danielle. When the boy's parents met Danielle, they played some of his music, and she, despite never having heard the song before, knew the words and was able to complete the lyrics. Professor Schwartz also investigated the case of a 29-year-old lesbian fast food junkie who received the heart of a 19-year-old vegetarian woman described as man-crazy. Now, after the transplant, she told her friends that meat now made her sick and that she no longer found women attractive. In fact, shortly after the transplant, she married a man. In one equally inexplicable case, a middle-aged man developed a newfound love for classical music after a heart transplant. It transpired that the 17-year-old donor had loved classical music and played the violin. He had died in a drive-by shooting, clutching a violin to his chest. And they write, nor are the effects of organ transplants restricted to hearts. Kidneys also seem to carry some of the characteristics of their original owners. Take the case of Linda Gammons from Weston in Lincolnshire, who donated one of her kidneys to her husband Ian. Since the operation, Ian believes he has taken on aspects of his wife's personality. He's developed a love of baking, shopping, vacuuming and gardening. Prior to the transplant, he loathed all forms of housework with a vengeance. He also adopted a dog, yet before his operation he was an avowed cat man, unlike his wife who favoured dogs. It's easy to dismiss such tales as hokum, but the Chinese authorities are certainly taking them seriously. They've recently taken an interest in Professor Schwartz's ideas and have begun a program to monitor transplant patients. And the article makes a very interesting point here. They point out that many of the donated organs in China aren't in fact donated. They come from executed political prisoners. And even Falun Gong practitioners have come forward recently and said they have a lot of evidence showing that they have in fact been harvested for their organs. People have been killed and harvested for their internal organs. Now, the article writes, the cynic might suggest that the authorities are worried about an epidemic of political thought spreading via organ transplants. Many scientists will, of course, point out that tens of thousands of organ transplants have now been carried out worldwide, so you would expect to come across a few bizarre cases like Sonny Graham's. But if Professor Schwartz and his ilk are right, it would destroy one of the foundation stones of modern biology. But then again, modern biology has a guilty little secret. It has, as yet, no viable theory to explain how we store memories and how we produce consciousness. I'll put links to both those articles up in the show notes. That second one there's from the dailymail.co.uk. And before we take a quick break, there's another article here which is related, where a woman's abdominal organs were removed in this new unique cancer surgery. This made me feel a bit sick actually after reading this, but it's interesting. Brooke Zepp, a 63-year-old South Florida woman, was diagnosed last May with a rare cancerous tumour deep inside her abdomen that had wrapped itself around her aorta and other arteries that supply blood to vital organs such as the stomach, intestines and spleen. Now, surgery wasn't an option, she was told, because there was literally no room to remove the tumour without damaging these vital organs. She was given 6 months to live. Now, refusing to give up, Zepp went to the University of Miami/Jackson Memorial Medical Center, where surgeons at the Transplant Institute performed what's believed to be the first operation of its kind. Earlier this month, they removed 6 of her internal organs, freeing up space to cut out the cancer, and then they reinserted them. The director of the Transplant Institute, Dr. Andreas Sarkis, said that usually this is an inoperable tumour. He said in order to remove it, we took a very unusual approach. We removed all the organs along the blood vessels and the tumour. Well, this makes me shudder. The organs removed during the 15-hour surgery were the stomach, pancreas, liver, spleen, small intestine, and about 2/3 of the large intestine. And because of their delicate nature, the kidneys weren't taken out during the procedure. Sarkis said we had to move very quickly because the organs were removed from her body and she had no organs in her belly. We had to move quickly to cut the tumour out. And once the tumour had been removed, Zepp's organs, which had been kept chilled, were placed back in her abdominal cavity. Artificial blood vessels were put in and connected. And in total, the organs were outside her body for 90 minutes. Isn't that an incredible operation? We're going to come back with some slightly less gruesome stories right after this. Stay with us. Now, the next couple of stories are, like I said, slightly less gruesome than organs being removed from bodies, but only slightly. This one's from thetelegraph.co.uk, where a baby with 2 faces is worshipped as Hindu god. A lot of you probably already saw this one floating around this week. A baby girl born with 2 faces in a North Indian village is being worshipped as the reincarnation of the Hindu god Lord Ganesh. The 3-week-old unnamed baby from Saini village in Uttar Pradesh state, 30 miles northeast of New Delhi, is being hailed as a miracle child. Hundreds of locals are flocking to see her, blessing, and, in keeping with Indian tradition, showering her parents with money. The 24-year-old father, Vinod Kumar Singh, said, "At first I was a little afraid, but then I accepted whatever God gives." To the largely illiterate villagers from the agricultural community, the little girl is a reincarnation of Lord Ganesh, the half-person and half-elephant, and one of the most worshipped deities in the Hindu pantheon. Little, however, is known of the baby's physical condition, as her parents are not permitting doctors to examine her. Dr. M. Ashmos, who delivered the baby at the local government hospital, said they are not aware enough that they should come in for treatment. He said, "I've told them that we are ready to do the CT scan on her for free, but they have ignored me." Another local doctor, Bradal Nagar, said she was not an abnormal baby, but just one with 2 faces living a normal life, but who might face problems later on. And the pictures are up here on the Telegraph's website if you want to take a look. It's so bizarre because it doesn't look like the case of a Siamese twin. It doesn't look like there's 2 individuals here. It's just simply one little person with 2 faces. And what is it about India and China that keeps producing these human oddities? Is it purely population? Still on human oddities, this one's also from the Telegraph, and they're writing on the world's smallest girl, who is very proud of her tiny size. She's only 1 foot 11 inches tall. She's dwarfed by her neighbour's baby, but Jyoti Amgi is 15 years old. The teenager, who is the world's smallest girl, according to the Indian Book of Records, has a form of dwarfism called achondroplasia. Now fully grown, she weighs just 11 pounds. They're right that far from being unhappy about her tiny size, Jyoti says she enjoys the celebrity status her height has brought her. She told the Telegraph, "I'm proud of being small. I love the attention I get. I'm just the same as other people. I eat like you. I dream like you. I don't feel any different." And like any other teenager, she loves listening to pop music and watching DVDs, and even hopes to become a Bollywood actress. She's recently recorded an album with her favourite Indian pop star, Mika. Pictures on the website if you want to take a look, and there's links at mysteriousuniverse.org to those stories. We're going to move on to some more ghostly news now. This one's from the United Press International, reporting from Florence in Italy, where a priest allegedly staged fake exorcisms. Prosecutors in Florence, Italy, accuse a Roman Catholic priest in the city of committing fraud by by collecting $6 million through staging phony exorcisms. The Reverend Francesco Saverio Bazzoffi is alleged to have used an organisation he founded, the House of Sainted Archangels, to collect donations from spectators at public exorcisms he performed at his organisation's headquarters. Prosecutors said associates of Bazzoffi would pretend to be possessed by demons, and the priest would use ancient and obscure rites to perform fake exorcisms on them. The events regularly drew crowds in excess of 400 people. A witness told police that during Mass the priest spoke in Aramaic, and strange things happened. They said, "I do not know if it was group hysteria or suggestibility, but I remember one old woman screaming in a man's voice while 5 big guys held her down." Several documents were seized from Bazzoffi's residence last month that allegedly suggested he has more than $6 million in his bank account. Prosecutors said 13 associates of the priest are also under investigation. Still on ghostly news in Italy, this one's from Rome this time, also from the telegraph.co.uk. They write, after enduring howls in the night and creaking staircases for the past 3 years, an Italian family is preparing to sue the previous owners of their house for not telling them it was haunted. Gaetano Bastianelli, 57, and his wife Stefania paid £94,000 for the modern home in the Umbrian town of Spoleto in 2005, encouraged by the fact that all of the furniture and fittings were left by the owners right down to the coffee cups. Mr. Bastianelli said, "We considered it the deal of the century." The couple claimed they were unaware that the house in Santo Chiodo Road had been built close to the disused Pozziginori cemetery. All that strange goings-ons at the address during the 1970s had necessitated an exorcism and prompted a visit from Perugia University's paranormal research team. Mr. Bastianelli, a former long-distance truck driver, said the ghosts started their hauntings on the first night. He said, "I woke suddenly at around 1 or 2 in the morning. There was water seeping from under the bathroom door. The hot water tap was pouring out boiling water, and the room was full of steam." He said, "My wife was stunned because she had turned off everything before going to bed." He claimed that by next morning, malevolent spirits had left luminous green mould all over the walls. After that, things got worse. He said the sound of chains rattling had alarmed his 10-year-old daughter and claimed that the lawnmower and his wife's car had spontaneously combusted. Now Mr. Bastianelli has engaged a lawyer, Antonio Francesconi, to sue the previous owners for failing to inform him that the house was haunted. A local historian, Sergio Grifoni, confirmed that an exorcism had been performed on a girl in the house in 1977. He said the local papers at the time said a girl had been possessed by the devil and had been taken to the bishop. Nothing helped until Pope John Paul II prayed for her. So the poor owners, I wonder how that one will go in court. Next up, we've got a couple of new ghost videos for you to check out online. The first one's from the bbc.co.uk, where a group of amateur filmmakers believe they may have proof that ghosts really do exist after one of them caught something strange on camera. George Gunn said he captured pictures of a ghostly apparition while out walking along a footpath in Outwood, near Wakefield, West Yorkshire. Mr. Gunn, a member of Outwood Community Video Club, said he thought the figure looked like that of a Roman soldier. He said he'd heard tales of ghosts being seen in the area, but he added, "I still don't believe in them." Now, the apparition appears to be still in the footage but fades momentarily as 2 people jog through it. Mr. Gunn did not notice the figure until he reviewed his film later in the day. He said, "I've had the camera for quite a while now and I've never had any problems with lighting or sun glare or anything like that." He said there is something peculiar about it. Mike Hooley, who is also a member of the video club, said, "George rang me up and said, 'Do you believe in ghosts?'" I've got a bit of audio from the BBC report here. Let's take a listen.
Watch closely. A normal footpath in Outwood. But wait, what is that ghostly apparition? Is it a legionnaire who's mislaid his garrison by 2,000 years?
Don't talk rubbish, it's just the sun on the lens.
Shut up, Edward. It's a ghost. See how it fades away as it's startled by some joggers.
George, one of our members, was coming down here.
We went back to the path today with Mike Hooley from the Outwood Community Video Club.
I didn't know anything about it until George rang me up and said, "Do you believe in ghosts?" I said, "No," and I still don't. But, when we saw the film, I was quite amazed, really.
You can head on over to mysteriousuniverse.org to find direct links to that video if you want to take a look yourself. I'm not sure about the apparition in there, but it does look almost exactly the same as the one in this next video. This one's from Australia. It's reported on the citymessenger.com.au, where Francis, the Adelaide arcade ghost, has been caught on the centre's security cameras for the first time. The Adelaide Arcade promotions manager Sharon Leaney provided the City Messenger with the eerie surveillance footage, which shows a burst of light, man-like, fading in and out near the Grenfell Street end of the arcade. Miss Leaney said it's been on the surveillance cameras for quite a few days. She said we've had lots of reports of people hearing footsteps, going cold, but this film is the first time I've ever seen anything. The Adelaide Arcade ghost is said to be its former caretaker, Francis Clooney. He was investigating a flickering light one night in June 1887 when he fell into the generator and died. Adelaide Arcade, built in 1885, was the first mall in Australia to boast electric lights. Adelaide Arcade's resident clairvoyant, Joan Leslie, had no doubt it's Francis on camera. He's a nice guy, she said. However, she said he wasn't happy with the upgrades and renovations to the arcade, such as a new lift where the generator used to be, or the refit of Hayes' shop on the Grenfell Street corner. Innovation Science Director Michael Hadley was sceptical but admitted to experiencing a few strange occurrences himself. He said he once ducked into the arcade on his way to the airport at about 5 a.m. when doors started slamming. There was no wind, he said. He said it was kind of spooky at that time of the morning, and as far as I'm aware, no one was in the arcade at that time. So head on over to mysteriousuniverse.org, check out the show notes link for episode 93 of Mysterious Universe, and you'll find links to these two ghost videos. This Adelaide one is interesting. It's just this kind of ghostly figure that pops up and then disappears. But one of the commenters on the website made a good point, because this is supposed to be footage from a security camera. And the commenter asked, why is it shaking and wobbling from side to side? They said it's obviously being held by someone and not mounted rigidly, as would be the case with a real security camera. They said that indicates fraud. Actually, I've got the video up here again. I'm just looking at it. I think the reason it's shaking is because it's not a direct feed of the video. I think someone's playing this on an LCD screen and someone else is filming the LCD screen. I think that's why it's shaking. Anyway, it's definitely worth a look. We're going to take a quick music break. When we come back, we have all the latest science news for you. Don't go away.
It's just not possible. It's just not science.
That's right, it's time for the weekly science news, and this next one's going to have those body modification addicts very excited. It's from NewScientist.com's Jeff Hecht, and he writes that Daedalus used feathers and wax, and we all know what happened to his son when he flew too close to the sun. Instead, you could try surgery, says Samuel Poore, a reconstructive surgeon at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, who has now described the steps that would be needed to transform human arms into wings. It sounds like an idea that might come from the underground world of body modders who go in for filing teeth to points, implanting horns, and even more extreme modifications. But Poore studied the mechanisms of bird flight under Ted Goslow of Brown University, Rhode Island, before he began medical school and became interested in hand surgery. A colleague remarked that Poore would never be able to apply his knowledge of bird anatomy to plastic surgery, and that set him thinking. A functional wing is sadly out of the question. Humans lack the shoulder joint and massive muscles that millions of years of evolution gave modern birds. Wing loading is another killer requirement. Modern birds need at least a square centimetre of wing area for every 4 grams of body mass, so an 80-kilogram human would need 2 square metres of wing. But an arm might be converted to a decorative wing. Poore suggests modelling it on the wing of an Archaeopteryx, the earliest bird which had a shoulder much closer to humans than the shoulders of better flying modern birds. Now, this was published in the Journal of Hand Surgery, volume 33A, where he gave instructions. First, you have to fuse the outer set of wrist bones and the hard bones to create bird-like carpometacarpus, the third bone in a chicken wing. The thumb remains free, like the alula that helps guide bird flight, but other fingers would be fused together. Next, rearrange the muscle and skin to allow articulation of the new bone arrangement. Things get tricky when it comes to feathering the wings. Hair grows in different skin layers to feathers, and the two consist of different types of keratin. No one knows how to convert one to the other. But for the body modders out there, it all adds up to more trouble than it's worth, Paul concludes. He says if you want angel wings, go rent a costume. Humans should remain human, while letting birds be birds and angels be angels. Now, I know you're thinking, why on earth would anyone want to do that? But I'm sure there's people out there thinking how wonderful it would be to have wings instead of arms. Still on the newscientist.com website, this one's interesting. It's the mechanism of poltergeist activity. It's from Zia Morelli, who writes, the sight of small blonde girls watching television is guaranteed to strike fear into the heart of anyone who has watched the movie Poltergeist. We're right to be terrified, say physicists. Children by channeling energy into the quantum mechanical vacuum. Piero Brevetto, whose last known address was the Institute of Fisica Superiore in Cagliari, Italy, and his colleague Veria Maxia wanted to explain the origin of poltergeist phenomena characterized by objects flying around the room of their own accord. The researchers note that poltergeist encounters have been reported around the world and across different cultures, but tend to have one thing in common. The authors note in their paper that poltergeist disturbances often occur in the neighbourhood of a pubescent child or a young woman. So Brevetto and Maxia have come up with a mechanism to explain just how these women and children create such havoc. Like so many problems that arise in adolescence, puberty gets the blame. They state that puberty is a modification of the child body which involves various organs, chiefly the brain. Brevetto and Maxia hypothesize that the changes in the brain that occur at puberty involve fluctuations in electron activity that, in rare cases, can create disturbances up to a few meters around the outside of the brain. These disturbances would be similar in character to the quantum mechanical fluctuations that physicists believe occur in the vacuum, in which virtual particle and antiparticle pairs pop up for a fleeting moment before they annihilate each other and disappear again. Brevetto and Maxia believe that the extra fluctuations triggered by the pubescent brain would substantially enhance the presence of the virtual particles surrounding the person. This could slowly increase the pressure of air around them, moving objects and even sending them hurtling across the room. Now, this supposed poltergeist paper is going to appear in the scientific journal Neuroquantology. And New Scientist contacted Brian Josephson, a Nobel laureate physicist who is on the editorial board of Neuroquantology, and he commented, "This looks distinctly flaky to me." So there you have it, poltergeist activity explained away by quantum physics. You can find those articles at newscientist.com. This next one's from Reuters, and it's how to identify the look of love or lust. They write that scientists said on Wednesday that members of the opposite sex can spot whether someone is after a one-night stand or something more permanent just by looking at their face. On men, a square jaw, large nose and small eyes are more likely to betray the look of lust than love. Women found men with softer features more likely to opt for commitment. But the Durham University-led research found that while men can judge whether or not a woman is footloose and fancy-free or not, there is no common facial detail to explain it. About 7 heterosexual men took part in the survey carried out by Durham, St Andrews and Aberdeen universities. In one study, 72% of the 153 participants correctly identified the sexual attitudes of a group of men and women in their 20s after being shown photographs or facial images. Published in the journal Evolution and Human Behavior, the research also showed that women who are open to short-term sexual relationships were usually seen as more attractive. They tended to have wide eyes and large lips, such as the actress Angelina Jolie. They continued that women were usually interested in men who appeared to be more likely to want a long-term relationship. The research tended to confirm earlier findings, which found that women see masculine men as more likely to be unfaithful and worse at parenting. The men and women also tended to opt for complete opposites. Dr. Linda Boothroyd from Durham University's psychology department said this shows that these initial impressions may be part of how we assess potential mates or potential rivals when we first meet them. These will then give way over time to more in-depth knowledge of that person as we get to know them better and may change with age. Dr. Ben Jones from the University of Aberdeen's Face Research Lab said lots of previous studies have shown that people can judge a lot about a person from their face, including things like health and even some personality traits like introversion. But this really is the first study to show that people are also sensitive to subtle facial signals about the type of romantic relationships that others might enjoy. This is interesting research. You can go to the Reuters website and they've got demonstration images up here that show a pair of computerized, what they call average facial photographs taken from real people's pictures. And according to the research, the face on the right is someone who is more likely to be interested in short-term sexual relationships, while the one on the left is more likely to be interested in a long-term relationship. And admittedly, the face on the right is, to me at least, a more attractive face. And they've got an example there for males as well. And again, the one on the right is a more masculine type of face, like a squarer jaw, etc. So where does this type of research leave the idea of free will? I mean, again, the question comes up, are we formed by things? Is our personality and our actions formed by things postnatally or prenatally?
That's absurd. It's the absurdity of the week.
Yes, that's right. It's time for the absurdity of the week. This comes from our friends across the pond in New Zealand, where a man has been accused of assault with a prickly weapon, a hedgehog. Police allege that William Singalar picked up the hedgehog and threw it several yards to hit a 15-year-old boy in the North Island East Coast town of Wakatani. Police Senior Sergeant Bruce Jenkins said on Monday it hit the victim in the leg, causing a large red welt and several puncture marks. The teen did not need medical treatment. The Herald on Sunday newspaper reported that it was not known whether the hedgehog was dead or alive at the time of the attack, but that it was dead when collected as evidence. Jenkins said Singalar, 27, was arrested shortly after the incident on a charge of assault with a weapon. What on earth is going on in New Zealand? Who uses a hedgehog as a projectile? Surely there's better weapons available if you really need to throw something. I mean, there's got to be rocks lying around, but a hedgehog? And while we're in the absurdity of the week segment, this isn't a new one, but Rojan from the Ustream chat found this awe-inspiring video on the UFO guy. It's old, but I'd never seen it before and wanted to share it with you on the show. So this is the now infamous UFO guy. There'll be links to the video in the show notes if you want to see the guy's face. Surely doing a great service for the topic of UFO research. Let's take a listen.
Well, we tried to find this guy, and we even left messages with his mother and grandmother somewhere in Texas, but we could never find him. Take a look at Juan Carlos's conversation with the UFO guy.
What do you think? Do you believe in UFOs?
Oh yeah, yes sir, definitely. They're out there, man. I seen them. I've been out there, Aurora, Texas. They got them little graves and stuff. Yeah, I've been out there, and I don't know. I'm planning a trip. We're going out to like Arizona or something and figure something out. Or not Arizona. What was it? Yeah, it was Arizona, right? Air Force One, where they found all that stuff. I got pictures of Aurora. I seen grave sites. They're out there, man. And I'm flying in the plane. I'm always hallucinating, but who really knows what I'm looking at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but there's no proof of this. Just people's accounts.
You're right. There's no proof. But, I mean, there's no proof of Jesus or, you know, people go in the restroom until they tell you about it. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just kind of the way I see things.
All right, so you believe it then?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Do you think there's, like, little green men out there?
No little green men, sir.
No? Well, what do you think there is out there?
Who knows, dude? They could be made of water. I don't even know.
Water?
Water, man. You heard the man. Water. They could be made of anything. Extraterrestrial.
Extraterrestrial, you mean?
The extraterrestrial.
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 There you go.
It's time for some UFO news. This one's from the Inexplicata, the Journal of Hispanic Ufology, and we've spoken about the recent flap of UFOs in South America, especially Argentina. And this new article's commenting on the strange apparitions that have accompanied these saucer waves. It's by Sebastian Aranguren, and he writes, according to Luis Burgos, in Valcheta, Rio Negro province between Bajas del Gualicho and Samancura, there are those who claim to have seen an inexplicable light in the immensity of the desert, belonging to a lost city that emerges and vanishes. The vast number of UFO cases recorded in Argentina, totaling 110 sightings since the start of the year, has opened the door to a singular number of ET-related phenomena, which include, for example, strange characters that vanish and evaporate in the loneliness of the towns of the interior. Ufological studies of these mysterious manifestations of strange people, as defined by the locals who experience them, suggest that these fantastic manifestations of the UFO phenomenon are closely tied to the latest extraterrestrial developments. Specialists who deal in these cases believe that the manifestations are usually contained within the small communities in which they occur, and therefore do not yield even larger case histories within a field that, nonetheless, acknowledges the presence of ghostly figures ascribed to alien entities. Louis Burgos, director of the FAO, stresses that the subject isn't an easy one, as involvement in these cases implies crossing the swampy terrain that lies on the border between ufology and parapsychology. Burgos cautiously took on the challenge of stating the specifics of these manifestations, which always occur at lonely locations with few witnesses. The final result is a unique experience that may have various interpretations. He's quoted here as saying the explanation one can give these cases is they fit into a collateral manifestation of the UFO phenomenon. It is necessary to have the proper balance, as poorly grounded individuals could go off the deep end. From the FAO's perspective, one of the most valuable cases consigned in local records and involving fantastic events that cannot be rationally explained could be taking place right now in any town of the interior. Burgos recalled that some 8 years ago, in the vicinity of Estancia La Esperanza, a young woman witnessed one of these cases, dressed in early 20th century farming clothes, crossed her path in an empty field. Carolina, the protagonist of this story, gave FAO a detailed account when researchers delved into the case. She explained that the two teenagers, a male and a female, whom she was seeing for the first time, greeted her by name. When she turned around to ask where they knew her from, they had already vanished. Burgos explains there are many cases in ufology that involved contacts with human-like entities clothed in archaic dress as though they belonged to another time. And he's not dismissing the possibility that this situation could be the result of a breach in time. The specialist does not dismiss the possibility of a dimensional doorway, but adds that the known cases of oddball humans always occur within the framework of UFO manifestations. Therefore, it is very feasible that the current UFO flap will yield some of these experiences. The 110 sightings catalogued by the FAO in 2008 stressed the possibility that fantastic experiences such as Carolina's may occur. To this day, she still talks about her experience with oddball people having nothing to do with the town and probably not to the world as we know it. And at the end of the article, it stated when it comes to marking strange events linked to the UFO phenomenon, the FAO's records hold some unique cases that exemplify this connection rather well, such as the enigmatic presence of the so-called nuns of Bariso, who caused surprise and shock to infrequent witnesses. The FAO's files make reference to them during an investigation performed in 1991, in which some workers in the naval workshop area of that community, located south of La Plata, allegedly saw entities clad in hooded garments, hence their description as nuns, which moved around, causing wonder and fear of the unknown. At that same site and within the framework of this investigation, another high strangeness characteristic ascribed to UFOs emerged. 3 operators of the old electric power station facing the port of La Plata claimed to see a strange creature running between the sheds. It stood no taller than 40 centimetres but was robust and clad in green military-type garments. Prior to the manifestations of the so-called nuns and the creatures of the old power station, the FAO also recorded an intense UFO presence over the area, which gave rise to a terrible situation. Dozens of dogs leaped into the void from terraces and balconies, inexplicably committing suicide. Some strange stuff there. That's translated from Spanish by Scott Corrales. You can find that at inexplicata.blogspot.com. It's time now for some listener emails, and I got some great experiences sent in this week. The first one's from Summer, who said, I've been having this strange thing happen to me lately, and thought I'd share it with you. I'm one of those people who wants to believe, but has very little personal experiences. This one I can't explain away, and the precision and consistency of it has really kind of weirded me out. For the past 3 or 4 months, I've been waking up at exactly 3:37 a.m. I used to have a bright digital clock staring at me in the face every time I'd wake up, so it was hard not to make a note of the time. Now I check the clock on my mobile to verify when I'm waking up, every morning without fail, 3:37 rolls around and I'm all of awake, suddenly wide awake like I never went to sleep in the first place. After maybe a minute or two, and after checking to see if my 2 dogs have noticed anything, they're always fast asleep, I instantly fall back to sleep like I never woke up, which is odd for me because I've never been one of those people who falls asleep fast. No shadow people, no ghosts, no feelings of a presence in my room. No one in my family is in distress. It's just the weirdest thing because it has happened every morning for months in a row and I have no explanation for it. Anyhow, I love the show and just thought I'd share my little strangeness with you. Can't wait for the next episode. Thanks for writing in, Summer, and it is strange that you're waking up at around 3 a.m. It is supposed to be traditionally the hour of heightened spiritual activity or heightened ghostly activity, if you will. Next one's from Nick from Massachusetts, who said, I've been listening to your show for about 2 months now. I've gotten into it and just wanted to let you know that you saved me many a mind-numbing day at work. But I didn't email you just to tell you about how awesome you are. I've been fascinated with, above all else, what you report on, the stories of shadow people and the old hag. I'm actually writing in regards to something strange that's happening to me as of late. I was hoping maybe one of your listeners could relate. Basically, I think something's following me. I think something found me in a dream I had and is now tracking me about in the waking world. I've never suffered sleep paralysis until one day about 2 weeks ago. I was dreaming that I had set up some kind of array of webcams to tape my head from various angles for reasons I'll never know, and was viewing one of them on my laptop screen. I started moving my head back and forth to test the cameras out when I noticed something on my shoulder. It looked like one of those little fetish dolls made out of wood, the ones with the big mouths full of teeth, and it was just chilling there on my arm. Next thing I know, it full-on bites me on my neck. At that point, I woke up. The problem is, despite being awake, I could still feel the damn thing sitting on my shoulder, and I couldn't move. I could hardly breathe. Because of your show, I had known what the old hag syndrome was, so I tried not to panic. However, when I tried earnestly to move and could do little more than slightly wiggle my fingers, fending off panic became a bit of a chore. On top of that, the presence on my shoulder was still there and it was still biting me. Then the attack came. I felt the pressure on my chest and my gut and started having a hard time breathing. It became very intense and I started to worry that I was going to asphyxiate. I tried to scream for help, but I barely mumbled, "Help me," from the corners of my mouth. However, that seemed to be enough as the attack was gone as quickly as it came. I was able to move again and the presence was gone. I thought it weird, but I knew what had happened and shrugged it off as just sleep paralysis. I still had several hours before I had to be up, so I went back to bed expecting it was over. That night at work, I kept seeing things standing behind me. Sometimes I saw them reflected in my computer screen, and other times I saw them out of the corners of my eyes. I'm not prone to hallucinations, not even those that plague many people in their peripheral vision, so I was rather freaked out by these things that weren't there. Leaving work wasn't much better. The drive home consisted of me having quick flashes of things in the rearview mirror that were sitting in my back seat, and seeing figures standing behind trees and in the woods around the road to my house. I live in a densely wooded area and there are no streetlights on my road, so I thought maybe it was just the shadows playing tricks on me. I couldn't, however, remember any time they had tricked me before along this road, ever. It was unnerving, to put it mildly. The shadows in my house are a completely different story. I know this house through and through, and I know the tricks the light can play in here. There is no reason there should have been figures moving around in the corner of my eyes or flashes of faces when I look down a dark hallway. I nor anyone else have ever seen anything in here or heard anything either, but I started to do both. I think the hearing part was definitely the worst because there was no real easy way of saying I was just hallucinating things moving about in the crawl space about my bedroom. I think whatever it was that attacked me in my dream found me through the dream and has been following me. This belief is only solidified by the fact I've had at least 2 more cases of sleep paralysis in the past 2 weeks, where I'd never had any before 2 weeks ago. In one of them, I was awoken by a voice I thought at first was my mother's saying my name, and I felt a cold, bony hand on my shoulder grasping me. I remember the very specific impression that it was an old lady's hand. At first I couldn't move, I couldn't even open my eyes, but when the paralysis wore off, I quickly rolled over and there was no one there. The second attack was only a couple of nights ago. I can't remember the dream preceding it, but when I woke up, once again unable to move, I felt as if my body was on fire. I was very hot and I swear I could hear something, though I can't say what it was with any real certainty. As a footnote, I asked my mum and dad if they've noticed anything unusual lately. My mum hasn't been able to sleep well, and my dad mentioned not only seeing odd things out of the corners of his eyes, but also having a rash of nightmares which, last I asked, he was still having. I'm afraid to go to sleep, and I'm starting to be afraid of this house, Ben. Worse still, I fear that I'm losing my mind and that this is all just me spiralling into madness. Thanks for your email, Nick. It sounds like you're going through quite a rough time, but you can be rest assured that out of all the accounts we get quite a lot, and all the people that have experienced shadow beings and the old hag syndrome, we've yet to come across an account where someone has been really physically harmed or been in serious danger of losing their life or anything like that. So I guess the best advice that comes to mind from me, from the experiences we've heard before, is that when people are really forthright and set in their mind that they want this experience to stop, it does often stop. You just have to be very firm in your own mind that you don't want it to continue. And remember that for all the negative entities out there, there's just as many ones that are willing to help you as well. So keep that in mind too.
Email of the week.
And this episode's email of the week goes to Philip Marquez. It's quite a long email, but it's a great story. He says, I'm writing to tell you about an event that I experienced about 2 years ago while on a camping trip. I've never really believed in UFOs and alien abductions. I've read about it in magazines and might have watched the odd TV documentary here and there, but I never lent it much credence or gave it a second thought. That all changed after the events of the summer of 2006. It all started in mid-June. We'd gone on a camping and fishing trip along the Kankakee River in downstate Illinois. We were looking towards an extended weekend of fishing and hiking and just enjoying ourselves. We arrived at the campsite. It was on land that my best friend owned, and we knew the spot well from previous trips there. That afternoon we felt a certain unease as we busied ourselves getting set up and gathering firewood and setting up the tents and fishing gear. On previous trips to the site, we were always treated to the noise of the forest birds singing, the occasional rustle of underbrush caused by a deer, the quiet lapping of the river on the banks. Today, all we heard was silence, like something ominous was about to happen, and the wildlife knew it. It actually reminded me of the poem, Something Wicked This Way Comes. An evil presence enters the fair and gives the horses ample scare, for chaos reigns and panic numbs when something wicked this way comes. We all felt the same feeling of unease, of dread, and more than once, one or two of us went towards the woods like something was there watching us. As the day progressed, we lost the initial feeling of fear. Even though we still felt it in the back of our heads, we focused on a day of fishing and talking and relaxing. As dusk came, we started seeing the first stars come out. We relaxed and built a roaring campfire and made ourselves comfortable. We talked, we sang, we laughed, and when we looked at our watches, it was almost midnight. We decided to get ready to turn in and discussed our plans for the next morning. As we all got up and stretched out, there was this momentary flash of intense light that lit the entire forest up. That was followed by a loud sonic boom that shook the very ground we were standing on. We all looked up and saw a bright white fireball streak across the sky towards the west. We all stood in complete and total awe as we saw this light arc across the sky in an almost straight line. Before we knew it, the object was gone from our field of view. We all stood there for about a minute before someone said, "I wonder if it was a meteor." We didn't have time to answer when we heard this thumping sound. It got louder and louder, and finally we saw what was making the noise. About 50 feet above the tree line were 4 helicopters. We all recognized them as military helicopters because we had all served in the Marines. 3 Apache attack helicopters and 1 Black Hawk were cruising along the same path as the object we saw a few minutes earlier. As we looked on, one of the helicopters turned on a spotlight and started sweeping it around, finally landing it on our campfire, then a second later on us. They all swung around and did a couple of large circles around our camp area before heading in the direction of the object. We all thought we might have been witness to a military exercise of some sorts. We all discussed it and decided that we were not in any kind of restricted area since my friend owned the land. We talked about it for about another hour as we all kind of just unwound from the night's events. We all eventually turned in and called it a night. The next morning found us all getting the campsite cleaned up and cooling any last burning embers from the campfire the night before. We all decided to get our gear and do some hiking along some of the game trails in the area. As we all went about our business, we heard the familiar crunching of car tyres along the gravel road about 25 yards from the campsite. I didn't think anything of it, thinking it was probably the game warden doing his usual patrols of the area, looking for poachers and whatnot. I opened my backpack and fished out my wallet and my fishing license, thinking that he would eventually ask for us to show that we all had valid and up-to-date fishing licenses. We all knew the practice, and we all knew the resident game warden, and knew that he would probably stick around to talk and that we could find out where along the river the fish were biting. As I got the last of my stuff, one of my friends sounded the alert and told us to get out here and make it quick. As I got out of my tent, I was surprised to see that it was not the game warden who was talking to my best friend. Rather, it was a trio of men in crisp, clean, black business suits. Rather queer, especially since we are 20 miles from the nearest town and 85 miles from the city. My friend asked them if they were lost or needed some help, sensing that they were out of place in the wilderness. The one gentleman who stood in the middle asked us if we had seen anything unusual last night in this area, to which we told them that we had noticed the bright light and the helicopters that were following it, but we assumed that the military was in the middle of some kind of training exercise. The gentleman in the middle looked at us without taking his sunglasses off, told us that there are many things out there in the woods that could harm us. My friend asked us as we all gathered up behind him if the gentleman was threatening us in some way. The gentleman looked at us and without a hint of emotion told us that it was just some friendly advice. My friend reached over to his tent and pulled out a high-powered hunting rifle that he brought along the trip. He responded that we were all more than equipped to handle anything that came up. The gentleman raised his voice a bit and told us bluntly that our guns were not going to help us, that they would only get us into more trouble. We presently told him to take a hike or risk getting his and his colleagues' asses kicked. They quickly shuffled off and left us with the proverbial "don't say we didn't warn you," to which we all gave them the finger and went back to our vacation. The rest of the day was uneventful. We fished and hiked till the last bit of sun was disappearing over the horizon. That night we all talked about various things, our personal lives, our careers, our time in the military, and of course our suit-clad visitors. We all eventually retired to our tents and drifted off to sleep. Sometime around 6 o'clock in the morning, we were all startled out of our sleep by the sound of frantic screaming and yelling, and then followed by the sounds of 3 shots fired off, then by a frantic scurrying away from our campsite. We all ran outside and discovered my best friend sprawled on the ground, clutching his hunting rifle, trying to reload the gun. We ran toward him and he was babbling hysterically about something that tried to grab his foot and drag him out of his tent. About that time, the feeling of being watched grew tenfold. We heard something move around in the trees about 10 yards from us. We all instinctively scattered for our rifles and regrouped in a circle around our friend. Infantry training kicked into full gear and we all covered a different patch of terrain around us and at all different angles. My best friend stood up and again we heard some twigs snapping as something moved in around the trees. My best friend suddenly cried, "There it is!" and began to open fire. We all turned and shot a hail of bullets and shotgun blasts toward the trees. Something moved as we stopped firing and took off deeper into the woods. My friend was a nervous wreck for a few hours as he recounted what he saw in his tent. He stated that he was asleep when he awoke to find a small child in his tent. As the small child turned towards him, he was startled to see that the eyes were insect-like and blacker than coal. The being suddenly grabbed him around the leg and moved him around in an attempt to drag him out the front flap. My friend kicked with his other leg and caught the being square in the back. The being let go. My friend made a lunge for the rifle and managed to grab the shoulder strap and swing it into his arms and began to fire. The being bolted for the door and made a dash for the trees. All the while a loud screeching sound roared like thunder in my friend's head. The sound made it difficult for him to get an aim on the creature. He later told us that he was trying to go for a headshot. It is here that I should mention that Mike, my best friend and practically blood brother, was a Marine Corps sniper while in the military and was regarded as one of the best. The idea that he would miss not just once but 3 times is hard to fathom. He later confided in me that maybe the screeching he heard in his head was a sort of defense mechanism that the creature employed to prevent him from lining up a kill shot as it ran away. We all tried to recover from the shock and make heads or tails of the situation. My friend decided that he had seen enough and decided to pack it in and go home. The rest of us needed no further convincing. As we sat about packing up the site, we had our rifles slung around our shoulders or well within reach of us. As the morning shifted to early afternoon, we finished the packing and loading and were ready to go. My best friend told me that he needed to answer the call of nature before we hit the road. I went with him and made a pit stop myself, briefly setting my rifle down next to a tree. I kept my eyes and ears open. As I finished up, Mike hissed at me to get my attention and with his hand slowly motioned to me to advance slowly. I went for my rifle and he hissed again. This time he slowly wagged his finger from side to side and told me not to make a grab for it. I took 4 to 5 steps and came up behind him. He looked toward a stand of trees right next to a fallen tree that had been felled by a beaver. There in amongst the stand was a creature that was about 3 to 4 feet tall, smooth, almost dolphin-like skin, no hair, and these huge eyes. The arms were long, almost down to its knees, and ended in what looked like talons. I panicked and was about to make a move for the rifle when Mike told me to hold fast. He whispered that he can hear it in his head. He stated that it's saying that he means no harm. I whispered back sarcastically, so said the spider to the fly. Mike whispered back to me, it says we're at an impasse. It doesn't want a confrontation that will draw the others and bring more shooting. I whispered back, does it know that if he moves one little muscle, I'm going to put a few extra holes in it? At that, the creature looked at us both and then raised its left arm up in what looked like a gesture, at which it turned and walked away, only to fade into the underbrush. It was then that I finally let my breath out. It's gone, Mike said out loud in a matter-of-fact tone. I asked him what he was thinking and why did he not go for the rifle. He said to me, I felt I was in no danger. It felt like he was just trying to set the record straight. He concluded that maybe, just maybe, it was not meant to end with him trying to blow it to Kingdom Come, and with it damn near giving him a heart attack. About this time, we heard the others screaming for us to come quick. We bolted for the truck and got there to see our other 2 friends pointing towards the river. We looked, and there, directly above the trees, was a small gunmetal grey object hovering noiselessly over the tree line. We saw it for about 15 seconds before it took off vertically, almost like it was shot out of a cannon, and disappeared into the clouds. A second later, we heard a boom that thundered through the entire forest. We talked about it on the way home, but decided that keeping this to ourselves was the best thing we could do. We all had families and careers that we had to think about. Mike eventually sold the property, but not before we all went back there for one last camping and fishing trip. This time, the sound of tyres on the gravel was only the game warden, and the only exciting thing to happen was my falling out of the boat while trying to net a fish we had caught. Sorry for the email being so long, but I thought your listeners would love to hear about this camping trip. Thank you so much for sharing that story, Philip. That was our email of the week. If you have an experience or a story you'd like to share, just head on over to mysteriousuniverse.org and click on the feedback link. You can send it through there. And also on the site, you'll see links to all the articles we've covered on this episode. Just click on the podcast link and then episode 93 of Mysterious Universe. Also in there, you'll find links to all the music you've heard on this show, which is from the IOTA promo net. If you're a premium member, there's a lot more coming up after the break. And if you'd like to become a premium member, it's very easy to do. Just click on the premium membership link on the top left-hand side of the mysteriousuniverse.org website. So the big green button there. It's $5 a month. You get an extended version of this podcast, Mysterious Universe, and also the Mind Shots podcast every week. Don't forget, you can also buy the extended episodes directly from the store, and you can find the Mind Shots episodes in there as well. I've been your host, Benjamin Grundy. Thanks for listening in. This has been Mysterious Universe, episode 93. I'll join you again next week. Take care.
Billionaires, movie gods, rock stars, very
Hey there, Premium members. Welcome to your extended version of the show. We've got a bit of news to kick off with. Some really interesting stuff on a possible new Skinwalker-type ranch. And we've got a classic encounter story and some strange news right at the end. But this is from UFO Media Matters. It's at ufomedia.blogspot.com. It's Joseph Kapp's site. And I'm sure most of you know about the Skinwalker Ranch. Joseph writes it's the rugged 480-acre property in Utah's Uinta Basin near Roosevelt and Vernal. It was investigated by scientists from the National Institute of Discovery Science and award-winning journalist George Knapp, who followed the story for years. And at the now infamous cattle ranch, strange phenomena continually happened to a family of ranchers. There was cattle mutilations, sightings of UFOs, strange animals, and a variety of poltergeist phenomenon over a 2-year period that drove the family of ranchers to sell their life's dream. He adds that the NIDS scientific team sent in by the property's new owner, pioneering commercial spaceflight investor Robert Bigelow, were made fools of by whatever was there. But Joseph writes the Skinwalker property wasn't the first family ranch plagued by a strange phenomenon and what appeared to be ETs and strange animals. Another family confronted terrifying phenomenon on their ranch where eventual contact and an agreement was made. What happened at the lesser-known ranch was investigated by Dr. Leo Sprinkle, a psychologist, Dr. John Deere, a seismologist, his wife Janet, and Dr. Peter Van Arsdale, an anthropologist. Respected British author Timothy Good reported on what happened in a great book called Alien Liaison. And Joseph writes, what a story. A family of close friends pulled their financial resources together to buy a ranch in Colorado near the Rocky Mountain area. Soon, family and friends are enmeshed in continued and varied phenomenon they'd hardly ever dreamed of. The witnesses finally reported their experiences on condition of total anonymity. Backgrounds of the witnesses is interesting too. Jim was a former US Air Force security officer and public relations officer, and John was a management executive in a large corporation. And then there was Jim's wife, Barbara, their teenage sons, and a law enforcement officer who remains unnamed. The family and friends moved into the beautiful ranch, remodeled it in about 3 months, and almost immediately started experiencing strange phenomenon. Their escalating experience with strange phenomena that ended with encounters began with electronic humming sounds that couldn't be accounted for. In October of 1975, the cattle were baying so loudly and their coon dog was so extremely afraid that Jim grabbed a rifle and ran outside. Jim found the cattle huddled together, a large lighted object of trapezoidal shape. John had heard of cattle mutilations, and because of his small caliber gun, he decided not to fire. One night, Jim read about a reward for perpetrators of cattle mutilations and decided to go hunting for them. Jim states, I found myself unable to move. It was like paralysis, like I was drugged. Barbara, John's wife, was having flooding memories and panic attacks, and when she tried to tell John, she couldn't, because, quote, every time I started to tell him, I would stutter. Sometime later, one of the teenage sons, Joe, found a mutilated cow only 200 yards from the house. Jim said the boys were pretty upset because they claimed something had followed them back to the house. On checking, they found in the snow 18-inch Bigfoot-like prints following them all the way back to the house, and even found prints in the manure in the barn. It was a classic mutilation. Jim added that the law officer promised to show up, but he never did. 2 weeks later, a second mutilation was found. According to the British author Good, when the law officer hadn't shown up again after the second phone call, Jim decided to have a personal talk with the law. Jim said they explained to me they knew what the mutilations were. They only report 1 in 4. There had been 400 mutilations reported by this time. He said it was being done by extraterrestrials. They had spoken to the FBI about it. I told him I couldn't believe it. If you couldn't solve the crime, at least don't blame it on something like that. Kapp continues to write, one night at about 10, 2 visiting friends and a rancher heard a strange noise emanating from the cistern southeast of the house and about 60 yards up a slope. Jim said, after listening to the noise, we saw a huge object push its way through the barbed wire fence and come straight at them down the hill. We went back and traced the route, and there again were some footprints. Good tells how Jim found some hair and sent it to a biogenetics lab in Denver. The report came back marked no known species. Soon the entire household turned paranoid. Jim was sleeping by the front door, staying awake most of the night, hoping to catch the culprit in the act of harming the cattle. Jim said, alerted by a humming sound at 2 a.m, I looked out the window and saw a disc-shaped object flying slowly past the front of the house up the gully. He said another time I saw the hairy creature running near the house. I was tolerating it to a certain degree, but one night I just couldn't. I went out and saw one running beside the corral and I shot it. When Harry and Roger came back, we went to track it. It didn't seem to be hurt at all. There was a flinch, and I'm a good shot, but there was no blood, no traces, no signs. They continued on to the next property when they heard this most unusual sound, a whine with a beeping noise. Jim said I notified the law officer that I shot one, and he gave me hell, saying he didn't want anyone killed. I was so upset I stormed outside and yelled, "If I can't have the land, then you won't have it either." I meant it too. Later I tried to calm down. I returned to the house and I went out on the porch again. Jim then said while outside, this voice just came out of nowhere. That was the first time I was ever really shaken rather than angry. This voice, it was like FM stereo. It came from everywhere. Then at 2 a.m, 9 discs landed in the yard. The family, Jim, Barbara and their son David and 2 friends were at home. Seeing the discs, witnesses tried to wake everyone else, but the sleepers were unresponsive. Jim approached the discs. Barbara, looking out the window, was knocked senseless to the floor by an unseen force. Reviving Barbara, witnesses noticed the objects were gone. Jim wondered why they hadn't used the force on him. Jim then said, but I then began to understand how clever they were. They didn't do it to me because I was walking toward them. They did the most practical thing that could be done to get me back inside and get both people away from the window. I think I began to respect how clever they were. Then I began to think the government was doing this to us, except that there were a lot of unusual things. For instance, David upstairs had been paralysed during the incident. That way he couldn't respond. He could hear us calling but couldn't get up. Ultrasonic sounds were heard all night long and he was sick for 3 days. And then at 2 a.m. one night, in the presence of guests, the lights went out in the house and a mechanical-sounding voice was heard coming from all the radio and TV speakers. Jim said we were sitting right in front of a console stereo and the voice came out of it. I could almost recite the words exactly. It said, "Attention, we have allowed you to remain. We have interfered with your lives very little. Do not cause us to take action you will regret. Your friends will be instructed to remain silent concerning us." One of the guests, Dan, a computer and electronics specialist, was determined to find a rational explanation for the mysterious broadcast. He dismantled the stereo set. He went through the whole unit and said he couldn't figure it out. He checked and the stereo was off. The phonograph was on when the lights went off. The radio receiver part was off. The type of transmitter it would take to cause a signal to go through the whole house would be beyond our means. Then finally there was contact. After an experience Jim and his son had with the light in the trees and a black box that disappeared, Jim told his son to go into the house while he would find out what it was. Jim said that was the closest I've been to being really afraid. I had to force my legs to move down because I didn't know what I would see. I walked down to the light and there were 2 individuals waiting for me in the light. The light didn't come from anywhere. They obviously weren't nervous and as soon as I walked up, spoke to me by name. "How nice of you to come," they said. Down below us was a disc on the ground 50 or 60 feet away. He continued to say I had no doubts they were human. They were approximately 5 feet 6 inches tall in tight-fitting clothing like a flight suit, and their clothing was changing colours from brown to silver. I don't know how. He said they were fair with large eyes and blonde hair that wasn't long. He said the thing that impressed me most was the eyes. Their facial features were finer. They were almost delicate, effeminate, and completely self-assured. They apologised for the inconveniences and told us a more equitable arrangement would be worked out between us, whatever that means. I wanted to ask a lot of questions, but found I didn't. There were several things they asked me not to repeat that had no significant meaning at all. I think they were checking to see if I would keep my mouth shut. I told them if they were mutilating cows, it was very foolish. It would draw attention to themselves. They didn't give me any earth-shattering information or admit they were mutilating the cows. The only thing for sure was the big fuzzy thing, Bigfoot-like, obeyed their commands. They mentioned the box, how I did the right thing backing away from